I mean, we're ice cold. How are you making out, Len Robbins? How are your, how do your opinions go versus results?
I hesitate to bring this up because you never want to throw salt in the wound.
Yeah.
Of a fellow wagerer. But I went 5-0 last week.
Wow, really? Oh,
of course.
Yeah.
Of course you did.
Doing the winning.
Yeah.
I went 5-0. I went 1-0 on my best bet. I think I'm like 28-16 on the NFL season on best bets.
Nice.
And just to let people know out there, dear God, who art in Vegas, hallowed be thy name. Thy wager comes, thy will be done. On earth it is in heaven. I want to thank you for showing me some grace and gratitude last weekend, and I will sing your praises till the day I die. Very, very important.
Yes.
To stay humble.
Literal translation of my Haftorah at my bar mitzvah. That was brilliantly done by you. I had to read it in Hebrew, which was not easy.
Yeah.
Len Robbins, a New York extra with us here. 5-0. Yeah, I mean, that's not rubbing salt in the wound. I mean, well, why don't you just castrate me here on the air? Guys shooting blanks on a cigar. I mean.
Yeah, look, that to me is the worst thing in life, right? To go through life with the gelding.
Yes.
Yes.
Shooting blanks. I mean, that's all we're doing here.
The time. Wake up with Defo, joined by Lubie. Welcome to the Defo Show.
And a very good morning, everybody. Great to be with you here on the Defo Show on Ion Channel. Always great to be with the people at Ion Channel and around the country where a lot of people are socked in various ice and snow developments. Just watching some shots here on TV on the local news, and it's good to be in Florida. It sure is. People are going to be complaining. Well, it was over 80 degrees today. Sunshine, nice breeze off the ocean. Couldn't be any more pleasant here. So if you're somewhere else in the country that's getting socked in by miserable winter weather, we certainly empathize, and we would make one suggestion, as if we were with the Chamber of Commerce right here in Lauderdale by the Sea, where I'm originating from. Come on down. Enjoy the sunshine. I mean, a big poster of Anita Bryant sipping some orange juice before we realized that a lot of her views made John Gruden look like he was very liberal and open-minded about certain things, bias against different races and ethnicities. Wow. I mean, it's jackpot bowling right now. Well, Mike Lubitz with me. How are you, Lubie? You're all right today?
I am well.
Another week here
of a weekend. There's no football, which is sort of annoying outside the Pro Bowl, but very excited to have a couple of days free and excited for a Degenerate Friday.
Oh, very good. Yeah, Jersey Kyle's going to join us, at least so we hope. Scheduled to join us here on the program. He hasn't figured out the computer thing, so there still is no visual of Jersey Kyle, but he will join us via his cell phone as he's making his various rounds in his other job as he rides all over the county here. He traverses all three counties in his other capacity with his seawall business, which is thriving, by the way. Don't let him tell you for a second that, tapped out. That's a bunch of bullshit. That really is. Guy's got mounds of cash. You should have seen the bankroll he boarded the plane with. I was worried he was going to leave his wallet on the seat there. How many times do you check your pocket when you're in Las Vegas, by the way?
Constantly.
It is weird. I was talking about it with my son, and by the way, I didn't get the chance to do it on the air, but happy birthday to my son, Jesse.
Oh, nice.
It was yesterday.
Yes,
yeah, yesterday was his 39th birthday. Now, does that put him on the same footing as you? Are you also 39, Mike Lubitz?
He is.
My other son, Mike Lubitz.
Yes. He's 4 months younger than me. He was born in 83. I was born in 82.
Okay, yeah, no, and I wish him the happiest of birthdays. Fine gentleman. I mean, really unbelievable. It's hard to imagine that I was his father. But,
well, when you hear his sense of humor and when you hear his degenerate leanings, it actually, the Deforrest comes out strong.
It's not exactly the same. Like, he's not a horse racing guy, and he's not so inclined. I mean, in all honesty, I don't bet a ton of sports. I'm not really a big sports wagerer. I mean, that's kind of the image that's out there. But nonetheless, I mean, to be honest about it, let's go Brian Flores and just come totally clean here. I don't engage in a lot of sports wagering, but I do follow it very closely, and I'm fascinated by it. And it's always good to make a judgment about a game based on the point spread and to see how you would do. But my main thing in terms of wagering has always been thoroughbred racing, which, as I've said many times, and that was my one beef with my mother, because I was boxing 7-5 exactas now. I mean, the first temptation is to see if the 7's any good, and then can I couple it with the 5 and bet my birthday numbers, which, I mean, you can have all the racing form information and inside information and thorograph sheets and different tip sheets, and guys are giving you what they say is inside info as well. Yeah, I heard from the barn there, this horse is ready to go. But it comes down to the simplest of things. Box your birthday in exactas. And now, yesterday, and this was an omen, speaking of degeneracy, and we often talk about the bizarre approach in how you get the signs from the gods of gambling. And we've had many different extrapolations on this. And this one really hit me yesterday, and right in the face, Lubie, because I wasn't involved in any kind of wagering yesterday. I was just watching, and I could watch races all day. And that's one thing about me also. Even if I don't have a bet on a game, I'm still fascinated by virtually all sporting events. I find them wildly entertaining for the most part. One way or another, there's always an approach that you can look at and get something out of it, especially if you enjoy playing sports or enjoyed it as a kid through your youth. I dig the fact that you can still get out there and play some ball in the park, right? Which I did with my son just the other night.
Nice.
He trounced me in a couple of sets of tennis. Why is it that the pain that evolves from doing some kind of physical activity takes like 48 hours to really develop? I mean, sometimes, you fall and you're hurt right away. But I have a pair of sneakers that the Mustang got for me that I use only for tennis, but they're a little tight.
Yep.
And I woke up today. My left foot is just throbbing in pain from the irritation of rubbing against these sneakers that I hadn't worn for like a week or so. And so they were even tighter than usual. And why is that there's a delay in the actual pain surfacing, and you're thinking, well, what the hell happened to me, man? It does. It feels like somebody dropped a rock on the top of my foot.
Oh God.
That's the way it is. But regardless, I would go right out there again tonight because even at 70, you just dig playing ball. If you grew up like I did, streets of Brooklyn, and you were out playing all the time, and we would play, into the darkness. Your mother would be searching for you. Jeff, are you coming home? Yep. No, Mom, I'm up next. You're in like a 3-man game of punch ball, and you don't want to miss an at bat. That's for sure. Or a plate appearance. And so, you'd still be, yeah, Ma, I'll be right there. Don't worry about it. So, I was one of those guys. I don't know if you were that way, Lubie, but
yep.
I mean, I couldn't wait to go play ball somewhere, whatever it was, whether it was basketball, baseball, football, tennis, anything. I didn't really take up tennis till I was about 40. And it struck me also that after 30 years, I should be a better player.
You probably are. You just have lost.
No, I'm worse than I was years ago by far. I mean, not even close. It's a clown show by comparison. But it's frustrating, right? Because this is one of those games. Golf and tennis are two games that if you don't have the right form, you can kind of manufacture an oddball shot in basketball.
Yeah.
And you could have a weird swing in baseball and still be very effective. You could have, a strange approach to fielding. And as long as you're not afraid of the ball, you're going to be okay. Because, you got to keep your eye on the ball. That's really the most basic, simplistic coaching piece of advice that you could ever give anybody. Keep your eye on the fucking ball.
Tell my nephew that all the time.
I can't emphasize that enough, right? Yep. And if you do that, you'll find that you'll end up making more plays. But after 30 years of playing tennis, I should be a better player. Regressing, and it's not really old age that's forcing me to regress. It's just that I don't have the form. Golf and tennis are two games that you can never really, really excel at unless you have the right form.
I know
you can manufacture a game, you can kind of be okay, but in the long run, you will never be great unless you learn that oddball form. I mean, with the golf thing, hey, keep your left arm straight, keep your thumb over here, interlock your grip. What a bunch of crap, right? Holy Ken Venturi.
Bend your body, but not your arm. I'm like, I don't know how to mathematically do that.
That's another one, too, which is weird because the ball's not even moving, and you have to force yourself to keep your eye on the ball. Keep your eye on the ball. Or as they used to say after you would shank a shot, keep your head down in shame. Tennis is the same thing. I mean, if you don't have the right form, it's not like everybody's going to be Rafa Nadal, but, Federer, I guess, would be the epitome of a guy that had just perfect tennis form in all aspects of the game. Other guys can do certain things well, but nobody made it look easier. Freddie Couples would be the guy in golf that I always give the example of, that it didn't even look like he was swinging hard.
Beautiful swing.
And then they would go, well, that's a beauty. That's about 320. I tell you what, Freddie's really striping the ball today. And you're thinking, wait a minute, he swung the ball like he was in a slow motion golf video, trying to show you how to make sure that you don't deaccelerate once you get through your backswing. But no, it's always great getting out there and a lot of fun to be able to play. And then, of course, you know this for a fact, Lubie, that even if you have the smallest of wagers on a game, it brings out both the best and the worst in you as you're viewing that game. When you talk about blatant racism in the NFL, talk to some guy or just witness some guy who's losing, and then all of a sudden that element of the 70% black players becomes, a very volatile and negative circumstance. So when you have a guy screaming at the screen, "Hey, you N-word!"
No.
And you think, wait a minute, I'm like the most liberal guy in the world. Where did this come from? But the darkness of your inner degenerate soul comes to the surface, and it doesn't matter, black or white. You're willing to condemn virtually anybody who makes even the smallest mistake during a ball game that costs you money. And like I said, it could be $1 that you have on a ball game, and you're still amped up about the circumstances and the procedure as you're watching this game, and now that your money's riding on it, it takes on a whole different perspective. So that's really kind of the gist behind everything that we do on Degenerate Friday. Put a couple of bucks on a game, and it'll make all the difference in the world. Now, people are going to be betting the Super Bowl that never bet a game in their lives or don't bet a game all year.
Especially with the square crap. Like if you go to any kind of a party or a location, bar, restaurant, they all do the squares. So you're throwing at least $5 or whatever the hell it is on. You're not going to do a square. Well, I don't know. I actually don't do the squares. I've heard
$100 a square in this thing I'm in. $100 a square.
Oh, Jesus.
Kyle's in one, Jersey Kyle, $500 a square. And he has one of the devastating beat stories of all time, and I witnessed it. And I don't know how he was able to control himself and not just, go get a gun and start shooting. I mean, this guy took one of the toughest beats at $500 a square. I think he was in line after the first half of one of the Super Bowls. This is, quite a few years ago. I would say more than 10 years ago. He was in line to collect like 50 grand or something if he hit the halftime thing, and he had it. And I don't know what happened. Some bizarre scoring circumstance occurred in the final 10 seconds.
Wasn't it the James Harrison Steelers Cardinals, where the Cardinals are going in for a score?
Could have been.
And then the last play before half, Harrison not only intercepts it, but he runs it back for a touchdown. Like I think he
went like 99 yards. It was the old Sonny Hirsch thing from the old days. Yeah, when he was calling football, fabled local announcer here, Sonny Hirsch, was the voice of the Hurricane football team for many, many years, like 30 years. And I can still hear him in my head when Horace Copeland caught that pass from Gino Torretta. 99 yards! Now, to somebody, that was great. It was a source of tremendous elation. And for others, though, all of a sudden, you got socked right in the face by Gennady Golovkin. Now, look at that. Golovkin opens up the first round there with, a haymaker, and he landed it. That's going to be it. Lights out here. We only get 10 seconds on the pay-per-view. Hey, Joe, you got anything we can run? Do we have another bout? I had to fill an hour once with a boxer called Barry McGuigan. I don't know if you ever heard of Barry McGuigan.
From you, yes, from you.
Barry McGuigan, yeah. I was doing a boxing play-by-play in Phoenix, Arizona, some tent that they had set up, a hard shell tent, and it was good stuff. But all of the prelims, which I usually root for all of the prelims to end in early knockouts if I'm attending fights, so that you can get to the co-main event, the main event, and then, maybe you're figuring those fights are going to go the distance, so you're going to get your money's worth of action. But, you don't want to see a bunch of mismatches, go the full. Well, this one's going 8 rounds. It looks like they're going to the scorecards, Joe. So, anyway, all of the prelims ended in early knockouts, like one-round knockouts. They were blatant mismatches. And, they didn't have any more bouts left. I mean, they had used all of the fill bouts. They usually have 1 or 2 guys that are kind of, waiting backstage there, possibly to go on the television broadcast because, you have to time that thing out. You usually have a 2-hour window for the broadcast. And back in those days, after 2 hours, it was unlikely that the producer was going to acknowledge the idea that, we're going to run over tonight. So they try to make sure that didn't happen. And in this case, they got to the co-main event. That turned out to be a 30-second knockout in the first round. And then the main event didn't go more than 2 rounds either.
Oh no.
So we had started this broadcast at like 8 o'clock or whatever, Phoenix time, which is hard to peg because they don't go daylight savings,
Yeah.
but they are in a different time zone.
Yes.
So you're either 1 hour or 2 hours out from whatever it is that you're accustomed to on the East Coast. And they didn't want the thing to run over, but at the same time, they didn't want it to be an hour short.
Oh.
And so I actually was talking to Barry McGuigan about these bouts with replays for one straight hour. McGuigan was a former, I want to say, featherweight champion, Barry McGuigan.
Okay.
Barry McGuigan, an Irish guy. Interesting, but filling an hour with Barry McGuigan after he had his brains knocked in for his entire career. No, he was pretty effective. He was fairly coherent. Actually, he's a big-time manager now.
Okay.
And you'll see him with several top-notch fighters from Europe, usually of Irish descent. And you'll see Barry McGuigan in the corner there, a real gentleman. But, the point being that, you can find yourself in some odd circumstances in the broadcasting business, which, we found ourselves in one before we found Jack Namer. And basically, he threw us a life raft and said, hey, you want to start tomorrow? Okay, no problem. What kind of conditions you want to operate under? Oh, okay. You want everything to go your way? No problem. We like that very much. So anyway, good to be with you here. People are going to be betting the Super Bowl that only make one bet all year. And you have to tread with a certain amount of really just caution in the sense that all of a sudden everybody thinks that they've been losing all season long. This is what fascinates me about Super Bowl betting. Losing all year long. You haven't cashed a ticket in the last 6 weeks. And every game that you bet, it goes the other way. And then all of a sudden you figure, well, geez, I'm stuck like 12,000 for the season. So let me bet 20 on the Super Bowl.
Exactly. That's the move.
Like you've been wrong consistently, like all year long. Why do you think all of a sudden it's going to turn around in this one game, which for my, for lack of a better word, but, no pun intended, for my money, it is not an easy game to pick. Everybody seems to be basing their selection on the porous nature of the Cincinnati Bengals offensive line versus the absolute ferocity and intensity of the Los Angeles Rams pass rush with two of the leading guys in the game. I don't know. How did Von Miller do once he went to L.A.? I didn't really track that closely. Is Von Miller a huge factor in the L.A. pass rush? Because that Aaron Donald is going to get triple teamed.
He's been good in the playoffs. I forgot he was there because you didn't hear about his name much in the regular season.
That was a big trade during the season when they got Von Miller from Denver.
Yes. The last 2 games, you've seen a lot of Von Miller.
What, was Elway drunk when he made that deal, by the way? I don't know.
They're trying to rebuild and go young and get rid of money. He had a lot of money and he's older, but like the Rams are going all in, and he's been to have Donald in the middle and then have him on the outside is scary. And the Bengals offensive line sucks. Like it just does. Because I didn't even think about that. The last couple people we've talked to have all pointed at that. I'm like, yeah, you're right. Like the Titans have a good defense, but the Rams defensive line's scary. Leonard Floyd's on the other side, and he's really good. It's like, why?
I don't know if this is an indicator, but they were outfitting Joe Burrow for a body bag in the Cincinnati locker room.
Putting him in like a mummy.
Just in a plastic bag, yeah. Hey, you got that canvas bag? Yeah, okay, we're going to be carrying this guy out of here. I mean, on a stretcher. I don't know if that's going to happen. I mean, there's a certain serendipity, as there was with San Francisco, to the Cincinnati Bengals run. I'm not sure that, they're all that great. They managed to bounce back against Kansas City when it looked like they were going to get blown out of that ball game. I mean, by all rights, they're finished in that contest and are back home and patting themselves on the back for winning a playoff game. But, now they've won, 2 playoff games. And have a shot in the Super Bowl, and originally posted as 3.5-point underdogs, but now 4.5 is the common number. So all of the steam so far, a 1-point movement in the first week before the Super Bowl is fairly significant, is it not?
Yep.
Well, I mean, maybe as the game got closer and you find out that Burrow's, got a bum shoulder or something, you might see the point spread move a little bit more dramatically than that. But 1 point. Already, from the original line that opened up at 3.5, usually the odds makers are pretty much spot on. We've said this forever, that if the line makers were running the country, there would be no problems. We wouldn't have to be staking out terrorists around the world. We wouldn't be worried about inflation. There would be cream cheese on the shelves of every grocery store. The crises that we're dealing with right now, right? Unbelievable. That would all be gone if the line makers are running the country, because their numerology is infallible. It is better than anything Rene Descartes ever came up with, right? Here's all Rene. He's sitting there like Roldan the thinker. And he comes up with the graph. I mean, imagine that, Lubie. The graph, remember? In
Yep.
math classes, you used to have to go through various applications of using a graph. Now, are graphs even in existence anymore? Remember, you used to have graph paper.
Yep.
Is there such a thing as graph paper in today's society?
It exists. I don't know who's
Oh,
using
yeah?
it. Yeah,
Like
yeah.
you can go down to Office Depot and say,
Yes.
"Hey, I need a package of graph paper." Oh, yeah, no problem. There, it's on shelf number 12. And you're thinking, I don't even know if that exists anymore. But no, if these guys are running a country, their numbers are absolutely exquisite in terms of their accuracy for the most part. I mean, almost every game comes down to the final play
Yep.
and determining the outcome of the ball game, win or lose versus the point spread.
Yep.
And, you could start thinking about this is common of any degenerate. And that's why a lot of us, therapy doesn't work. Because no matter how many times you've told your sob story to various shrinks, you're still thinking as you're watching the tail end of a ball game, maybe even from about, the first few minutes on, you're thinking, how can I get fucked in this situation? Well, they could come down and score a touchdown, and then if the team I need gets a field goal, they're trailing by 4, and they're getting 4.5, but there's 6 minutes left in the game. You're thinking the entire time, how can I get screwed in this spot? And it's a psychological. I mean, you would have to say, I don't even know if it's a flaw. It's just a source of or stemming from paranoia to the level that it makes the game interesting because not only are you watching the physicality, but you're constantly doing math.
Yes.
But
Yes.
the notion that all of a sudden you're going to have clairvoyance when the Super Bowl rolls around, especially this one, because I don't know, can you just toss a coin in the air and figure this one out? The fact that the public is leaning so heavily towards betting the Rams in this game makes me think, maybe Moneyline Martinez is onto something, which he nearly was. I mean, by all rights, he should have won both of those ball games, which is another devastating thing. I mean, just devilish thing about being a degenerate is the guy had every right to go and claim his 900. He had another circumstance. We can't find him, by the way. Way to go, Jersey Kyle. Way to be responsible to the show here. We love the guy. All he wanted to do is talk about the trip to Las Vegas on a Degenerate Friday, and you're calling him frantically, and no response. Thank you for that, because he also he took one of the toughest beats that you could possibly imagine without being having visual access to the game. Here's what happened. He loves Rutgers, and he'll bet Rutgers in any situation. So they're playing basketball, and he was ahead at the time. He goes down, he throws $100 on Rutgers, and usually it's on the money line, but Rutgers was favored in this ball game by 3 points. All right, favored by 3. So he went ahead and made the bet, 110 to win 100 on Rutgers, and he was giving 3 points to Nebraska. All right, this I believe was on Saturday night.
Nebraska's not good. Like the record sucks.
Well, I mean, of course, he's now tracking the game a little bit on his phone.
Yeah.
Because he had seen a score on a crawl the way we were at a bar watching, something else on TV, and they didn't have the Rutgers game, and I don't even know if they were showing it in the sports book. But that was in another part of the building, so we weren't going there. So he's tracking this thing on his phone. Now, with 7 seconds to go in the game, Rutgers is leading 61-60. And we don't have the circumstances of what's going on. We just have the time and the score.
Yeah, score. Yep.
All right. So 7 seconds to go in the game, 61-60. Jersey Kyle is resigned to the idea that his money is going up in smoke.
Yeah, worse, maybe you'll push because they'll do the free throw.
And now it's 7 seconds for an eternity.
Yeah. You'll go. You can do 2 or 3 possessions in 7 seconds with the.
Well, and but it was locked on 7 seconds, so it's 61-60. Rutgers. He needs Rutgers to win by at least 3 and get his money back on this thing, and hopefully 4 points. So you're hoping maybe some guy chucks up a 3 with 7 seconds to go. So our only guess would be that they were at the foul line. Yeah. And the guy hit a free throw, so it now went to 62-60.
Yeah.
And you're thinking, all right, what's going to happen from here? And the 7 seconds stays on, locked in there for another eternity. and then it flashes 63-60, still with 7 seconds to go. So you're able to do the extrapolation, the determination. When you distill it all down, you realize, okay, Rutgers went to the line with 7 seconds to go. They made 2 free throws. So now Nebraska has a ball with 7 seconds to go, and there's always this debate. I don't know if it's as common as as it probably should be, because it's an interesting debate strategically. If you're coaching the team that's up by 3, do you foul the other team and send them to the line so that they can't get off a 3-point shot? And now, even if the guy makes the first free throw, he's got to deliberately brick the second one and hope to get the rebound and have a shot to actually tie or win the game.
Yep.
But you're defeating the idea that you can get knotted up just on a simple 3-point shot, which in the college ranks is 20 feet. Anybody can make that.
It's a simple.
And with 7 seconds, they would have plenty of time. They would have even been able to maybe work the ball a little bit. Although, what is work the ball? When a coach screams out "work the ball" now in the NBA, what does that mean?
Around the 3-point line.
Throw it out to midcourt. That's working the ball. And figure if Steph Curry, steps 1 foot over the stripe there, the shot's going up, everybody go crash the boards. That's great basketball. This is what it's become. So, all right. So we couldn't figure out what happened because it looked like the game ended 63-60. That was the last score that we saw. And, it was posted. I guess I don't know if it was posted as a final or whatever, but that was the last score that appeared on his phone, 63-60. So he goes downstairs the next day figuring he's got to push. He gets his money back.
Oh, he never even after that still didn't double check, see it final. He just assumed it was. Oh, no. Oh, no.
So, but that looked like it was a final score.
Yeah.
I mean, he had every reason to believe that, that he had to push in that game, and it was a sigh of relief. I don't know. I mean, it's not like kissing your sister when you're tying money's involved.
And you'll take the money.
Right. It's not like you're Pat Tie Dye there with that Auburn team when he went for the tie and cost himself a national championship because the Hurricanes blew by him there in 1983 with that big win over Nebraska. Speaking of Nebraska, so here they are, the Cornhuskers involved again. All right, so he goes downstairs, and the guy keeps telling him this isn't a winning ticket. And he's like, well, what are you talking about? It was 63-60. So he looks on the board there, and sure enough, it was 63-61 the final. Because the only thing we could interpret was that scenario played out where the coach decided to foul the Nebraska player, send him to the stripe. And I still don't know if this was the case because obviously we didn't do any research after the fact because the guy was firing his tickets at the screen there. And sure enough, he must have sent him to the stripe where he made the first free throw, bricked the second. They didn't get the ball back or whatever. They didn't make a shot, and they lose the game 63-61. And guess what? Kyle's money that was about to be returned to him stays with the house.
They never end up doing that. That's so funny. They actually did that. People are always like, you should foul. But the coach is like, no, I won't foul. That's funny that they actually did.
Well, and if the team's owned by Stephen Ross, you have to question, why they're doing that.
That's
Did he have a lot of money on the other team? I mean, is it possible? Hey, Steve, by the way, I mean, I love the categorical denials.
My favorite.
All across the board. Wow. I mean, this Brian Flores must be some kind of nut. What a dreamer. What was he, hallucinating?
He just must be lying. I love the NFL, Ross, the Cleveland Browns, everyone, the Broncos. Elway was very adamant. All of them involved in any of these accusations are not giving their
Giants. Don't leave out the Giants. Yeah.
I haven't heard the Giants thing. They all have had. There's no possibility that Flores is telling the truth. None. It's malicious.
Zero. It's all bullshit. I mean, every piece of it. He went to federal court with an absolutely, a meritless.
His entire career away before it even got started.
And he got attorneys. I mean, it's not like he just did this on his own, like he was.
He has a slew of top-notch attorneys. It's like, okay, guys.
So he walked into these lawyers' offices and said, I got this whole cockamamie BS story. And I'm going to point a finger at several organizations and accuse them of being blatantly and explicitly racist in their hiring practices. I think the whole league should be taken down. And by the way, I'm also going to assert that Stephen Ross was going to pay me $100,000 to blow games for each game that we lost. And then somebody else is going to come out, this
Hugh Jackson, a very respected coach.
Hugh Jackson, yeah, coaching at Grambling now, I guess. Hugh Jackson is, but he comes out and says, "Oh yeah, this goes on all the time, man. You should have seen the contract they gave me after one." People wondered, after 1-31, how Hugh Jackson was still coaching the Cleveland Browns.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
is it possible that they were advocating that, and they had the old wink arrangement that you know what? Don't worry, we're going to hand you a crap roster, and you're not going to have any chance. The fact that you won one game is already like embarrassing to us because we figured we had this thing absolutely locked down, so there was no way the team ever wins a game. We're going to get the number one pick 2 years in a row. We're going to get Baker Mayfield or whatever, and we're going to ride that right to the Super Bowl. And the truth of the matter is, they ended up hiring Freddie Kitchens as one of their coaches. As we said, a guy that looks like he would be a bouncer at like a real tough biker bar. I'm not talking about a couple of Jewish guys on Vespas. I'm talking about like, guys that think of a pool cue only as a weapon. But the NFL's categorical denials of all of this almost seem more absurd than the inflammatory claims being made by Brian Flores, which, I don't know that you can prove racism exists in the NFL. I mean, you can look at the situation and make your own deductions there. I mean, is it inequitable? Of course. When you have you had another white guy hired as a head coach in Jacksonville yesterday, Doug Peterson.
Yes. Yep. Now, there was interesting news that popped up on my phone. I haven't seen it anywhere else, so maybe it was just magic. But supposedly the Saints have honed in on Eric Bieniemy right in the middle of all this. But again, I haven't seen reported anywhere else. He hasn't been offered the job, so we'll see if that goes anywhere.
Well, I mean, it's a shame that that these discussions even take place, and that there's not a more seamless nature to the idea that it really wouldn't matter whether the guy was white or black. I mean, you were going to hire the guy strictly for his football acumen and his ability to exhibit the characteristics that you would want in any successful head coach.
Yeah.
Which I mean, you have to be somewhat of an innovator, and you have to be a good decision maker. Obviously, you have to be a good leader. And you have to be able to coordinate things and also be relatable to the people that are on the field today.
Well, actually, relatable is probably either 1 or 1A. And who's more relatable than someone? We always talk about the owners picking people who look like them. Well, how about picking someone that looks like the players that's 70% of the league?
You would think that would be, a favorable development. Oh, and then on top of that, old Dan Snyder is back in the news again with the commies. That's going to be great. Here are the Cowboys on the field. The commies are coming out of their tunnel right now, and the Cowboys and the commies going to get it on here right after these words.
After all that bullshit, they picked the dumbest name.
What is that? I mean, I understand Commander-in-Chief, I guess.
Come on, that was a stretch.
Why weren't they just the Washington Commanders-in-Chief? They could have maybe they parenthetical followed that. We didn't catch that because all of the headlines had them depicted as the commies.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm watching a little clip of this right now. Happens to be on the morning news with Dan Snyder in the picture again, and any number of women coming forward in front of a congressional hearing. Which, I mean, what are the purposes of these congressional hearings when it involves sports? They never do anything. They have Mark McGuire, and he's got a needle in his arm as he's testifying. Well, I'm not here to talk about the past. I hate to keep swearing, but what the fuck are you here for, Mark? What the fuck are you here for if you're not here to talk about the past? What you had for breakfast this morning? Are we concerned about that? And he just wants to help out little kids now. Now, I happen to find Mark McGuire to have been a likable character. I mean, he was very approachable. Even at the height of his home run that he was on, because in the midst of that season, when he broke Roger Maris's record, he was very, very, cool with the press, and it seemed very gracious. He had the Maris family out there. I mean, later on, it turned out to be a disgrace. It was like the Bernie Madoff victims. Half of them, still sitting, in some canal in Boca. Face down, of course. I guess sitting was an improper depiction of what was really going on there. But you realize the whole thing was a fake.
Yes.
I mean, if you're the Maris family, after you, saw this guy, properly pay homage, I thought that was very touching, didn't you? that he had
Yes.
Maris's
Oh, no,
family
that
there
whole
when he
run
was
was
breaking
great.
61.
But I mean, his son was like the bad boy. Like
Yeah.
him and Sosa were competing, but would hug each other and were full respect. The whole thing was great. It was like a movie. They did a great job with it. The
That
problem
was
was it was like
1998. Yeah, 1998 season.
it was a
And
movie. It was
yeah,
fake.
I mean, people were diving for balls. They were falling out of the stands trying to get their hands on any one of the baseballs. As I guess if you turn back the curtain now and you realize that this was happening in July, you might have had suspicions. No, it was September. It was late September, and I really should have been back at school. The old Rod Stewart thing. All right, so we're going to get some steam on the Super Bowl. The professor is going to join us today. Jersey Kyle, a lost cause. And that's unfortunate. And hopefully we'll be able to hear his side of the Las Vegas story. That was a tough beat, though, because we weren't even viewing this. So you're trying to not only figure out how you got screwed, I mean, but you're trying to sort of envision the situation. Where, I mean, could you find another interpretation of what happened there? I mean, locked in on 7 seconds. A guy from Rutgers had to be at the free throw line. He sinks his 2 free throws. But then on the subsequent possession, the only thing I could think of that would have had Nebraska come back and get a spread-beating 1 point on a free throw would, because obviously if you're Rutgers, you're not going to foul a 3-point shooter in that position. So it wasn't like the guy could have gone to the stripe and made 1 of 3. You would have thought that Nebraska was only in a position to attempt a 3-point shot. So you had to think that the coach went with the strategy that isn't.
Yes.
It's not really that commonly used, even though, does it not make sense?
I'm literally looking at because when you do the scorecasting, you can look at the plays, and that's what I do.
Oh, yeah.
I'm busy, but I want to know what's going on.
Find that one?
So they made the free throw, 63-60 with 7 seconds left.
Okay.
With 0.9 seconds.
No.
They fouled a guy.
Right.
He hits the first, misses the second, and then Rutgers got the rebound. Game ends 63-61.
0.9 seconds. So
0.9 seconds is when because they were probably trying to find a good shot, and Nebraska and Rutgers at the last second was like, screw this, and fouled because they were
the line,
wanted to, and they didn't want to give them any time because again, if you give them too much time,
right,
then they can
that's
get
what I was thinking.
Actual real rebound and an actual real shot. So it was actually using the strategy the best way you can, just from a gambling standpoint. I'm glad you weren't watching because I think Jersey would have blown up the sports book.
Well, I mean, it's one of those things where, like the only thing that can beat you is a pick 6 at the end of a ball game because there's 7 seconds to go. Or you need the guy to go for a pick 6 and he takes a knee like the guy with the Rams did at the end of that ball game.
Yep.
And that's the only reason San Francisco was I don't know that he was going into the end zone anyway, but if, as downtrodden and disheveled as San Francisco had to feel after watching that hideous pass get picked off from Jimmy Garoppolo as he was falling down. I mean, there wasn't much he could do. I don't really. Garoppolo kind of gets a bad rap, but at the same time, he gets a little bit of a free pass from people also. And one of the people that does that is me.
Yeah.
Because I didn't think that, what could he do there? I mean, he had to put the ball up somehow. If he just eats it, it's over anyway.
No, he was getting sacked for like a 15-yard loss on like 3rd and 8. So it was going to be 4th and like 20-something.
Yeah.
From deep in their end zone, and they had no timeout, and it was like under a minute.
They were finished, yeah. It was like seconds to go.
So, okay.
Yeah. Anyway, that's how you can never mind living and dying by the hook. This is just living and dying, period. I mean, by a basic strategy that isn't often employed. I mean, it's employed far less than you would think it would be. I was thinking with 7 seconds to go, it's too early to send the guy to the stripe because, there's plenty of time then. Even if he misses both free throws, there's a possibility the other team gets the ball and plenty of time to go ahead and execute a 3-point shot.
Yep.
But that makes sense. So they waited till it ticked down, and then they just wrapped their arms around a guy so he couldn't get off a 3.
Yep.
And so whatever, it was a common foul, and a guy goes to the line for 2.
Yep.
And has no choice and he has to make the first one.
Yes.
That's
you have to make the first. That's what they'll do.
Well, for Jersey to lose is money.
Yeah.
You feel like a fool, by the way, when you're trying to cash a ticket that's no good, and you're sure that it's good. It happened to me on this trip also. It cost me about $60. But, the tellers, the pari-mutuel clerks are more inclined to, doing sports wagering. So they're not always familiar with horse racing. And would you say that Cal Expo, if you were saying Cal Expo is the track that you wanted to bet, is close enough to Los Alamitos that it could be misunderstood, even though there's like nobody in the sports book and you're like 2 inches away from the guy that's punching a ticket. But anyway, so I hit a race at Cal Expo and I go to cash a ticket and the guy keeps telling me, no, it's not in yet. It's not in yet. It's not in yet. And then finally I look at the ticket and it's the wrong track. And you're thinking, okay, I got hosed here. What are you going to do? All right. So it was $60. I mean, at the time when you're playing screen to screen horse racing wagering, you need to churn money. So it doesn't matter if it's only a small, hit. It keeps your bankroll alive, right? Because maybe you're betting $30, $40 a race. I mean, it gives you another chance to maybe hit something big and have yourself a nice day.
There's also momentum too. Like a lot of it's morale. Like eventually, no matter how much of a degenerate you are, if you're really losing consistently, you're gonna be like, I need to take a break. If you throw a win in there, it gives you new life and it makes you feel like, okay, things are turning.
Plus, you don't run out of capital immediately. Also,
money, yes,
and have to consider another trip that's very detectable. That's the problem with today's banking. Is that even if you're out of town and the wife is home, she knows exactly what you're doing at all times.
Yeah, you can't hide it.
The credit card charges pop up right away, You're at the Boom Boom Room in Las Vegas, and you spring for a couple of drinks, and next thing you know, your phone is ringing, and it's not the bank.
It's the first time you wish it was the bank.
Bank is another one of those. I mean, you talk about the cell phone being a rat. Banks and credit cards are just maybe even more powerful rats than the things that you say. All right, we're coming back with more. The professor's going to join us. He wants to handicap the Winter Olympics. Is that right? On a deal about Degenerate Friday?
I was joking about it because he's of Norwegian descent, and it's the one thing Norway does well because no one else gives a shit about the Winter Olympics. Norway kicks ass in the Winter Olympics, so he was going to jokingly touch on his background in Norwegian success in the Olympics. I'm like,
and the biathlon is my favorite Winter Olympic event. I think it really exemplifies what the Winter Olympics are all about to people in America, which is nothing. Because I can't tell you the last time I went cross-country skiing with a shotgun on my shoulder. Ed said, hey, look, let's see if we can hit that tree over there with a couple of shots. So you kneel down in the snow. I mean, plus it takes forever, that whole thing, right? I mean, it's not like they have machine gun fire going there. I mean, the guy has to reload like they're shooting muskets or something. What is that? I would imagine, it's a fairly useful skill if you live in some Arctic tundra type of country like Norway or whatever, where like, what is it, snow 11 months a year there?
I think.
I think so. But America sucks at the Winter Olympics. Yes. What do we have? I mean, we got the big tomato there. That kid, Sean, whatever his name is.
He wasn't he a Summer Olympic guy that because he does skateboarding, it sort of transitions into that. So he started doing the winter stuff, but it's not like his specialty. The Winter Olympics aren't his thing.
Well, he's been around forever, man. I mean, this guy has been in more Olympics than Al Order was. Here's Al in his 5th games, man. A career that spans 20 years. What a remarkable athlete. What a remarkable story. All right, who are you going to fall in love with in the Winter Olympics, Louis? Do we know? I can honestly tell you, I don't know that I know one athlete competing. I've seen a few promos. The name retention is half what it used to be last week. So it's diminishing rapidly, and I couldn't tell you one person. Do we have a skater that's famous? Is there a Peggy Fleming in this thing?
No, that's what I'm saying. I don't know anyone. Like, I usually know someone. Like, I guess the hockey team. Oh, no, they're not even doing.
The hockey team, the NHL guys are saying, you know what? Let's just have the All-Star game and sayonara, man. We're not going.
I don't know one. I can't name one. I think Shaun White is actually in it, so I can name him. But
Shaun White, I qualified, I think, in that half pipe thing or whatever that is.
So
which really, I mean, you talk about something that you didn't want to try for the first time, unless what balls these kids have to do that, huh? I mean, I'll give them that. That's the other thing that comes up in the Winter Games. What balls these guys?
That's risking life. Like when the event itself is risking life, that's a lot for me.
And a luge is no bargain on that front, right? One crash, man.
Literally,
you're going down this sheet of ice.
The one we were talking about last week, when you do the ski jump, when you literally are like feet in the air, and the event itself is launching yourself into the air hoping to land on ice safely. Like, that's the event.
You're talking to a guy that the first time and the last time I went skiing, I fell getting out of the chair and couldn't get up. And you look like a real ass there. I mean, it's like you're caught with your pants down at a pari-mutuel window. All of a sudden, as you're betting, your pants go below your ass, and everybody's looking. Isn't that Defo guy? Horrible. All right, the professor on the Winter Games. I didn't realize he had such insight. I'm sure you can bet these events too, all over the place. So that's very fitting on a Degenerate Friday that we would engage in the type of wagering that not even the most outrageous of fools would indulge in. But we're going to go ahead and do it.
Yeah, why not?
And also Mike Mayo, the Gambling Gourmet, coming up later on the program as well. That should happen around 20 after 8 today. On the East Coast here, the Gambling Gourmet Mike Mayo, who's been he had the most cockamamie, convoluted solution to our outcome for this whole Brian Flores thing that I had ever heard. I mean,
okay. Did I hear this?
Like I thought I was talking to Professor Irwin Corey about this. Well, that's some convoluted logic. I mean, he somehow had Flores ending up in Houston, dropping a lawsuit, and pairing up with Deshaun Watson, and going on to great fame and fortune on the field, as opposed to in the courtroom. Everybody says he's full of shit.
I love that.
You had to love that yesterday, right?
I love it.
Everybody says it. Just
his career's thrown away regardless, but he's also lying. It's like, okay.
About everything, though. I mean, he made up the whole thing. It's Pentangeli. Yeah,
I have
a bunch of things about Michael Corleone.
It's like, okay, whatever.
Oh my God, they needed us right before. I mean, you talk about the week before the Super Bowl being routinely dull, right? The backup tight end.
Well, the Ray Lewis,
that whole thing.
The deer antler crap when we were at Radio Row, we're like, what deer antler? Like we spent 2 days talking about. No one had ever heard of deer antler spray, and it became like because we had nothing to talk about.
I doubt that Ray Lewis ever used any kind of steroids or performance-enhancing drugs. I really do.
100 pounds since Miami.
Yeah, I mean, he weighed 175 when he was a linebacker for the Hurricanes.
He finished at like 320.
And a year later, he was like 325 of solid muscle that could also run a hole in the wind.
Exactly.
Steroids? All right. I'm sounding like some CNN commentator here. Steroids? All right, we're coming back with the professor handicapping the Winter Games on a Deal Volkswagen Degenerate Friday. Of course, we always have to acknowledge the great people at Hialeah Park and the wonderful work that they do. I saw some clips there of the boxing matches at Hialeah Park.
Oh, nice.
Fantastic, man. Great action. It was a great crowd, great atmosphere. It couldn't have been any more successful. Congratulations. You know how Frankie is. Lubie, Frank Fiore, our good friend over there. And wow, I mean, been a loyal supporter of the show, as the entire family of people there at Hialeah Park. And it really is like that. I mean, the Brunetti's been there forever. John Jr. and Stephen Brunetti always been huge supporters of everything I've done, so I appreciate it. But, I can't help but be overwhelmed with joy to be endorsing Hialeah Park because, wow, I've always loved it there. Every time I turn the corner and head in there, it really does. It sounds like cliche. Oh, that likes a bunch of beautiful memories.
It's great.
We had some wild times there, too. I mean, just great times at Hialeah Park. And it was a perfect atmosphere to encounter those kind of things in because it was just so beautiful there. You really feel like remember when you walked into a ballpark for the first time, Lubie? I don't know if you got this experience here in Miami because it's not quite the same because springtime comes around and you walk into like Yankee Stadium as a little kid and you have an atmosphere that you can't even imagine, right? Smell of the fresh cut grass and all of that stuff. All of that stupid poetry I used to write into my spring training Deforrest files when we used to do them. Yeah. Yeah, it was crazy. But nonetheless, I'm sitting there waltzing into Hialeah Park, about to get out of the car there. And it really does. It triggers like just a wonderful stream of memories of great racing and great times and good people. And so, you still get that. And at the same time, the Mustang loves the casino there.
Yep.
Like if I mention Hialeah Park, she's like, let's go. Right?
You're like, no.
Like Lutarski leading, into the parade there in Animal House. Let's go. Yeah. Who's with me? And, always has a good time. So the machines are paying big dividends there. You're going to love that. And always terrific events at Hialeah Park. Poker Room is exquisite. And the Champion Simulcast Room, you heard Gurgles on the show yesterday.
Yeah.
What a ringing endorsement there, right? And he's out there punching. And this week they have the Holy Bull, one of the big 3-year-old prep races for the Kentucky Derby. First really unveiling here on the East Coast of this 3-year-old talent. That's going at Gulfstream, and you can bet the simulcast in the Champion Simulcasting Room and have yourself a blast right in there with perfect accommodations. Better than anything that I saw in Las Vegas, Lubie.
Okay.
Better than any arrangement. Hialeah Park Champion Simulcasting Room. I can say that without qualification. You're going to love it. It's beautiful, Hialeah Park. All right, we're coming back with more in a moment. The Defo Show, Jeff Deforrest, Mike Lubitz, the professor on the Winter Games. Is that a lot to happen?
He's there. He's ready. He's waiting.
Oh, okay. Yeah, all right.
He's going to do a video. I forgot to tell you. He's doing video. So you get to see the world.
Oh, beautiful.
Introduced to the professor last week, and it worked out really well. So we're making this a regular.
All right. Well, let's get to it right after, these brief but very important commercial messages. Back in a moment. Now that.
The time.
You doing a little Justina Testa here? It's 7:50.
These days, we're all looking for comfort anywhere we can find it. Thank goodness for Landlubbers Raw Bar and Grill in the Plantation location, because they are making sure you are as comfortable as possible. First of all, they're not only open for delivery and pickup. All you have to do is go to landlubbersbarandgrill.com for both pickup and free delivery. Their hours have changed a little bit. Monday through Thursday from 3:30 to 10, and Friday, Saturday, and Sunday from 11:30 to 10. You're going to have the best wings in the world. You're going to have a great burger. You're going to have their amazing soups. Again, Landlubbers, Raw Bar and Grill. It's nice and easy. Just go to landlubbersbarandgrill.com for both your pickup and free delivery. Thank goodness for Landlubbers for making you always feel right at home.
Play the ponies in style at Champions, the outstanding simulcasting room at beautiful Hialeah Park. Yes, the grand old lady of thoroughbred racing has never been more vibrant, and you can wager on the races from the top tracks around the country while enjoying a cocktail at the Brass Rail Bar or any of the fine foods served throughout the facility. If poker is your game, you're covered in style, and you can play all your favorite Vegas-style games, including blackjack, craps, and roulette, in Hialeah Park's sizzling hot casino. Get a player's card when you walk through the door for all kinds of generous amenities, including our favorite, free play, when you come out to the ultimate casino and entertainment destination, Hialeah Park.
Hey, folks, Tony Segreto here. Let me ask you a question. What do you look for when you go out to eat? Good food, obviously, friendly atmosphere, not too loud, but good energy, reasonable prices, and a place where you feel comfortable. All those ingredients, no pun meant there, are hard to find unless you're talking about the Texas Roadhouse. You see, they encompass all of those attributes. Really, really good food, amazing atmosphere, good for a family, good for a date, or just a night out for yourself, and prices that will make you extremely happy. Their ribs, unmatched. Steaks, hand-cut every day. Everything, and I mean everything, is made on site, including their incredible bread. It's the one day, folks, that you can forget about low-carb diets. Trust me when I tell you, Texas Roadhouse, your restaurant, your destination when you say, where should we go and eat tonight?
Recently, we realized it's not just hurricane season that can hurt us. Any time of year, things can happen to your home or business. And the insurance company can be your friend, but they also can be your enemy. Horizon Public Adjusters, Justina Testa, are here for you to help this process go so much easier. Before you call the insurance company, call Horizon Public Adjusters and Justina Testa at 954-809-8752. Would you go into court without an attorney? So why would you go up against an insurance company without Horizon Public Adjusters and Justina Testa? 7 to 10 times more money recovered with a public adjuster than if you went on your own. If there's no recovery, there's no fee. Give them a call at 954-809-8752. Why go up against insurance companies alone when you can have Horizon Public Adjusters and Justina Testa on your side?
How many gamblers did I bail out last weekend with my game of the year? $100 better made $10,000. A $500 better made $50,000. Well, I got 6 games on Sunday that I'm releasing absolutely free. These games are a burial, a blowout, a human lock. You can bet your unborn children on these 6 games. Absolutely.
I believe.
We now return to the Defo Show.
Good to be with you on this Degenerate Friday on the Defo Show. Jeff Deforrest, Mike Lubitz, and always a pleasure to welcome this man to the program. And for the first time, with full-blown visual effect. I did read this message on the chat line here, which we always appreciate the people weighing in on the chat line that we have up and operating. And it was suggested that perhaps one of the reasons for his expertise and combining that with his the Nordic Combine with his Norwegian descent, that the professor possibly had a great insight into the Olympics because he competed in ice dancing at some time for the Norwegian team. Which is a nice visual if you think about it. Professor,
video on that? That would be
how
amazing.
are you? Ice dancing with the Proto-Popoffs, my friend. Here they are, and they're going to do a double sow cow, and look at that, they nailed it. Dick Button was my favorite thing about the Winter Games. I love Dick Button and his commentary. I mean, he was the Al DeRogatis of ice skating. He was great. How are you, Professor? How you doing?
I'm having some problems this week, Defo. There's been something going on with your show, which I've been doing for almost a decade.
Yeah.
That has really been bothering me lately, and I don't want to get into sponsorial things, and I don't want to make comments, but there's been an endorsement issued on this show, but not by one, but two members of the show, including your partner, Mike Lubitz. And I don't know if I can continue on with this program, because I don't know if I can lend my name to a program that is consistently endorsing Skyline Chili.
I'm not endorsing it. I think it's horrible.
Me and Mayo. You weren't here last week.
Lubie will eat anything. You know that. I mean, if you gave him a can of motor oil, he would pour it down. Remember the time he was eating that raw duck that you brought over that hadn't been cooked yet?
Yes.
And he tells you, you know what, Professor? It tastes kind of gamey.
That's exactly what I did.
It's like, yeah, well, it's not cooked yet, though, Lubie. What the fuck?
This isn't done. It's not cooked, you dumbass.
But so his endorsement means nothing.
To be fair, it wasn't just raw duck; it was raw duck wrapped in raw bacon that he was eating. So,
no, I remember he wasn't.
Really, we're lucky we didn't kill Lubie that day. Which
gave me a couple of cheeseburgers. Yeah,
much like everybody who goes to Skyline Chili is very fortunate if they don't die from eating Skyline Chili.
I mean, horrible. I was seeing a woman at the time, and she was from Ohio or had lived in Ohio, Cincinnati area. And she couldn't believe it, like that I had never been to Skyline Chili, which was, I remember the one on Federal Highway that now actually is like a quick oil change place, which it was before. Because you needed an oil change after eating this stuff. It was horrible. I mean, you talk about, it's hard to make tasteless chili. Like, it's hard to extract all the taste out of it. Because just by the nature of the ingredients alone, I mean, if you throw like even the slightest piece of diced onion in there, it's going to have some flavor, but nothing. And then over spaghetti, Professor, I mean, you're a food connoisseur. This had to. I understand.
I consider
your
myself
principle here.
Not just a food connoisseur, but a connoisseur of fast food. I love fast food, as you can tell looking at me now that I'm on video. But if given the choice, I would rather drink a warm cup of the water you get from the dumpster behind a Long John Silver's than a plate of Skyline Chili.
Mayo loves it, man. This guy with this distinctive palate. I mean, he was a food critic for the Sun Sentinel, and he's slobbering down a bowl of Skyline Chili. I mean,
exactly.
And praising it, and raving about it, giving it 5 stars.
Also, and I don't necessarily want to steer it in that direction, but I gotta say, can we talk about Brian Flores and whether or not this was a plot? Does it not reek more and more? I mean, who rats out Brian Flores or gets Brian Flores going? That would be what Bill Belichick finds himself right in the middle of all of this, because
and even triggered the thing with the Giants also.
He made a mistake. He sent the text to the wrong person. Sure you did, Bill.
He can't tell black from white, that's for sure. He doesn't see
a subject that has been brought up in the show. Oh, so why did Bill Belichick let Brian Flores beat him if this was all a secret plot? Maybe because then Brian Flores would have credibility to turn around and sue the league. Just saying.
It's possible.
Just saying.
No, a lot of your theories, it's almost the NFL's version of Ozark in terms of the plot development of this particular story, right? where you're in so deep, there's no way out. What did you think, Professor, about the blanket categorical denials? Like Elway wasn't disheveled; he was on an all-night flight.
That
The
one's actually
Giants
the most
hadn't made their
interesting.
decision. Yeah,
That
you
that
had.
one's the most
Yeah, go ahead.
interesting, and can I tell you why? Because apparently after the meeting, John Elway went back to the airport, and there is a guy who has now posted the picture on Twitter who has a time-stamped picture from the Providence airport that morning with a pretty clearly drunk John Elway. So
Yeah, but he's wasted.
He looked like Nick Nolte in that shot, right?
Yeah.
That mugshot of Nick.
I got to say that may be the one where Brian Flores has somewhat of a credible argument there, because you never know when someone's been drinking, but John Elway certainly looks like a person who has been drinking that morning.
So it proves he's at the airport.
So he showed up annihilated, and this was without any notion of disrespect for the fact that he was going to satisfy his obligation to the Rooney Rule by having Brian Flores wait in his office for a couple of hours and going, "Hey, you ready to come in?"
But getting back to the Dolphins and the accusation here, I'm trying to think, what exactly is it that Stephen Ross is being accused of? Because to me, the way it reads is Stephen Ross is being accused of being the greatest boss of all time.
Yeah, give me $100,000 for losing.
Okay, first he comes in and he says, well, this may have some long-term damage to your career, so I'm going to give you a bonus for losing.
Yes.
And then Brian Flores tells his boss, and again, tell me any other job where you could do this, tells his billionaire boss to get bent, that I won't do screw you, I'm not going to do the thing. And what is Stephen Ross's reaction? He keeps him as his coach for another 2.5 years.
Yes.
And then finally fires him after Brian Flores' way doesn't work. And instead of everybody reacting that, well, Stephen Ross is the greatest. Stephen Ross is the greatest employer in history. Name another job where you could go in and tell your boss, "Screw you," and then keep your job for another 2.5 years.
Unlikely to happen unless
right?
you had the goods on the guy, which he probably always had that. He somehow, you think he was wearing a wire when Ross was offering him the $100,000? I mean, even Pete Rose didn't go to these extremes to try and fix the result of a sporting event.
I mean, let's not be. There's actually a little bit of evidence out there that Pete Rose went to much further than those extremes.
Well, we know that. I mean, because all you had to do is go back and track it there. And after he had Pedro Borbon go 5 2/3 of like 6-run ball the night before, he brought him back in so he could help cover an over in a game that the Reds were leading like 9-1, but he needed the other team to score like 6 more. And,
this is the thing, and I've actually seen the Pete Rose comparisons. I've seen some other comparisons. This is another thing I don't understand about this story is everybody going, "Oh my God, an NFL owner was maybe bribing his coach to lose games." Okay, and is there anybody who didn't know the Miami Dolphins were tanking in 2019? And I hear people were gambling on the money line. Let me say this: if you were gambling on the money line for the Miami Dolphins in 2019, yes, you, sir or madam, are a suicide bomber. Yes. And you deserve to lose. You needed to lose. It's for everybody. It's for your family's benefit that you could lose so you can start your life over, because you don't need to be gambling anymore. You might as well have gone and bought lottery tickets. The odds were, much better, and the chances of winning were about the same. So I don't get this feigned shock about Stephen Ross's actions in this, because it was very public. I mean, how many column inches did national writers waste on calling what the Miami Dolphins were doing a disgrace? And now you're extra mad at Steve Ross because I honestly, I don't understand why everybody's pretending about this.
Well, and then this Hugh Jackson thing surfaced, and of course another categorical denial, as this Haslam guy says, "Is that Udonis Haslam that owns the Cleveland Browns?"
It's Jimmy Haslam, who is like the Rick Scott.
Yeah, he's a wild man too. Yeah,
of the gas business. He's been accused of stealing like literally billions of dollars from trucking.
These owners are real beauties, though. I mean, in the NFL, you have to love it. I mean, this whole Dan Snyder thing, and we keep talking about this, Professor, and you can relate to it, having been in the old sports radio biz. But the idle week between the conference championship
Right.
games and the week leading up to the Super Bowl is usually just laced with
Dead film,
stories
yeah.
about guys that you never heard of, right? Where the 53rd guy on the roster is the only guy that is available, and so everybody's talking to him, and they write this brilliant Horatio Alger story about how he's now in the Super Bowl when it looked like he was going to get cut from a Pop Warner team, and that's it. But you get all these stories, and then instead we get Flores, and then that's followed by, all of these women that work for the commies. The now Washington Commodores, coming out and saying, "Oh yeah, he was all over me, man." I mean, it made Bob Kraft look like a lightweight in that category. And Snyder, so what's up with these people? We got Kraft caught in some kind of a sting where they're, probably tracking something innocuous. Imagine the cops in the car when they were sitting there going, "Isn't that guy with the blue shirt with the white collar that owns the Patriots?" Because he's walking in there and they're staking out something that had nothing to do with the Kraft man. But, and then Snyder and now Stephen Ross, Haslam, all just an outright disgrace. They're worried about racism. We should worry about these guys, period.
Again, it's a very interesting story. It's a very interesting narrative in that I think most of us, if we just look at the numbers, if we look at things rationally, a lot of what is alleged in Brian Flores' lawsuit is just about certainly true.
Yeah.
The NFL does have a problem with black coaches. It has been persistent.
Doug Peterson is black. He just got hired.
It's really obvious. But that said, like, Brian Flores is the one black coach who didn't suffer victimhood from any of this.
Yeah.
Like, I can't imagine you picking a worse plaintiff. And if you read his lawsuit, that's probably the reason like 10 out of 58 pages aren't about Brian Flores. They're about Eric Bieniemy.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, well, Eric Bieniemy didn't give a job, so give me some money. I got to figure out how to make this work for me where it's somebody else who got screwed by a deep systemic problem, but I get paid for it.
It's an interesting concept. All right. The Winter Games. So you were not on the Norwegian ice dancing team.
No.
In the past.
And it's kind of insulting that my people dominate the games and you pick the one event where we never dominate.
I thought you were good in the biathlon. And I love the biathlon because I thought it was like, maybe you combine. I guess they do that, right? Where they have.
It's part of the army training in Norway. It's no wonder we're good at it. It would be like.
The army training.
It was like the United States slipped in a sport where, like, who's the best at tanks or who's the best at blowing stuff up with smart missiles. Yeah, like the biathlon is literally part of the Norwegian military training where you cross-country ski and then you shoot. So I don't know how they got this in the Olympics 100 years ago, but politically and for sports, this was a great move for Norway. Like I said, the United States somehow includes, smart bombing and Al-Qaeda center into an Olympic event. Yeah, hey, we win every gold. So yeah, anything that combines something on skis and shooting, whether it's the biathlon or my favorite, the Nordic combined, which is ski jumping and shooting, bet on the Norwegians because,
Now the guy ski jumps with the gun?
No, he ski jumps.
That in and of itself sounds inherently dangerous.
Oh, ski jumping.
No, you ski jump and then you shoot. You don't. Unlike the biathlon, you don't. Yeah, you don't.
So the guy goes flying in the air there, and you're just wondering, what percentage is there a prop bet on that? What percentage of the guys are just going to splatter themselves? Because the concept. Look, you don't see the Israeli team in there with ski jumping, do you?
No.
The likelihood that a Jewish kid like me is going to land on those skis and not break every bone in your body, even on the most perfect of landings, you could be Eddie the Eagle or whatever that was, and it'd still be a devastating event, I would think, to participate in. I don't know. How do you do it the first time? That would be the question.
Again,
You start small?
I feel like all countries should introduce something like this to get themselves, cheap gold medals the way my Norwegian country has done for all time, which is why my, the country of my heritage is the all-time winner leading medal country. I think the Israelis should introduce one where, like, you drink a bunch of Manischewitz and
Read
then
the
you shoot a
Haftorah.
rifle. Yeah.
Bitch and moan and guilt your children.
Let's not get into too much of a jackpot here. We don't
Yeah,
want to go Whoopi Goldberg on this thing.
You produce a movie and then you spin a dreidel, and that's somehow an Olympic event. Like all
Dreidel
countries,
spinning, I mean, could be part of it the way they
all
have some
countries
of these events.
should invent some sports the way the Norwegians have. And the
You
brilliant
hit on
thing is,
something.
the brilliant thing is we managed to make it like 50 medals out of this. We
Yeah,
were like,
yeah.
let's cross country ski for 500 meters, and then cross country ski for 1,500 meters, and then cross country ski for 5,000 meters, so we can really rack it up.
You know, I like the coaching right before it starts the biathlon, and you got some guy that looks like Lou Duva saying, "Sven, this is what we worked for our whole lives." Now you stick those poles in the ground, man, and you go like your life depends on it. And then I don't want you to miss a single target. What kind of? How do you train for that? That's crazy. I mean, so what do you have for us? I mean, what should we do to bet the Olympic Games here, Professor? And this
Always
is the
bet
professor
on
on the Defo show.
Always bet on Norway and anything that involves skis.
Yes.
Bet on Norway. Whoever the Norwegian is, bet on him or her. Actually, more her, because the women really dominated on this. Again, this would be the equivalent, cross-country skiing. This would be the equivalent of my mom competing in who can drive faster to Publix.
Now you can get action on the skating, and yet that is one of those things that you really have to be
want to
careful
trust
about.
those judges with your money. You're
Exactly.
nervous about
the most
Stephen
crooked
Ross.
judges this side of the World Boxing Council. Yeah,
You're nervous about Stephen Ross, or you're all upset about Stephen Ross maybe telling Brian Flores to take a dive when the entire world knew the Miami Dolphins organizationally were taking a dive. But you're going to bet on figure skating with those judges who the hell know what they're even looking for starters.
in Beijing, so you have to favor the Chinese. No, you figure that the American skater is going to get a fair shake from the Chinese judge.
It doesn't seem really likely given the political relationship between the two of us right now.
Remember the French judge? And she was under not even suspicion of bribery. She actually had like the attaché case of cash, handcuffed to her wrist that she had received for. I think it was like a Russian skater or maybe a pair of Russian skaters that literally were like splattered like Sean Eckert had just whacked their knees with a sledgehammer all over the ice, and they end up getting like sixes, which is a perfect score, I think, at skating.
We can say all this, and we can call her the French judge, or we can call her what Vladimir Putin calls her, which is very wise woman whose example we should all follow.
Adelaide Bird's Canelo Alvarez scorecard wasn't that far out of line. 118, 110. Right? I mean, the Golovkin fight, that was an atrocity. All right, that's it then. Bet on Norway.
Yeah, I don't know where this I was coming on to
total
handicap
medals?
the Olympics came to start with. But
Who'll
now
have
that
the
I'm
most
looking at
bronze?
it, yeah, I mean, the obvious thing is go with Norway. Apparently, just by the way, we are the very heavy favorites to be the total medal winners. A stunning minus 370 to take the total medal counts.
Minus 370.
I'm assuming that's because there's cross-country skiing is the Winter Olympics version of swimming, where America discovered 100 years ago. Like, we kick ass at swimming, so we're going to create 100 swimming events where we can win medals. That's apparently cross-country skiing with the Winter Olympics. We're just going to make stuff up to get more cross-country skiing involved in here, so we, the Norwegians, can dominate these Olympics.
Curling. I mean, the fascination with curling is pretty incredible, and you're looking at something that seems utterly ridiculous, and yet all of a sudden it becomes addicting, right? You can't wait to see another curling match, no matter how insignificant.
I do kind of dig the curling. I'm not going to lie. I mean, curling to me is the ping pong of the Winter Olympics. Anytime I'm watching the Summer Olympics and ping pong comes on, I compulsively have to stop. That for me is curling, except it's much more slow. I assume it's like softball, where everybody plays softball because it's just an excuse to get rocked on beer and stagger around the field. I kind of feel like that's how curling had to start is that, hey, let's, throw some rocks down the ice and get drunk.
And the sweepers, I mean, are they really having any impact on what goes on? What the hell is that?
Again, how much curling have you done, Defo? Because I've never done
Zero.
it. I don't like to sweep the house. I'm not going to go make a sport out of it.
Yeah, they're like yelling and screaming instructions. I mean, literally, like the aforementioned Lou Duva was trying to guide Pernell Whitaker through that, unfortunate fight that he had with Julio Cesar Chavez, which also ended in an atrocious decision.
Lou Duva is kind of taking a beating in this conversation.
No, Duva's great, man. I mean, I could see him becoming a Winter Olympic coach, especially on the curling. But you hear these guys screaming at each other like something important's going on. And you're thinking, just don't skate into the wall while you have your head down there with that stupid little shovel. God. All right, Professor, always a pleasure, my friend.
All right,
enjoy the
Defo.
wagering.
Just one quick mention thing to watch yesterday. We started to see it last week, and definitely I would look for the trend to continue because it almost always does. College basketball this weekend, there's a lot of good matchups. Keep your eye on home dogs in conference play. They tend to show up very strong this time of year. There's a few matchups, particularly when you're looking like a ranked versus unranked. The one that immediately jumps to mind is Illinois, who I think is like 17 or 18 in the country, is going to Indiana. Very hot Indiana team, and I wouldn't be surprised to see Illinois laying a couple points. The line could probably go either way, a couple points either way, but particularly if Illinois is laying, I would keep your eye on Indiana, and teams like Indiana. Home dogs in conference play tend to show up very strong this time of year. Unfortunately, I don't have the Saturday lines in front of me, but just as a general trend, you saw that show up strong last week. I would expect it to show up strong again this week.
In other words, you're cashing. That's beautiful, Professor. And you look great, kid. I mean, it was great you could join us on the video version. Jersey Kyle hasn't figured out how to put that together yet, and then he just like vanished altogether today. So this was great, and we really appreciate you coming on the show as always, and enjoy those winter games, my friend.
Yeah, have a great one, guy. Go Norway. It's great. We're not good at anything else compared to the Scandinavian countries, except back when we were Vikings, invading other countries. We kicked ass at that, and now the Winter Olympics.
I think with what's going on with Russia and the Ukraine, that may become a Winter Olympic sport, yes.
Sweden's too busy being pretty to be good at these events, apparently.
Yeah, Sweden's out of it, man. All right, thanks, Professor. The Professor, ladies and gentlemen, here on the Ion Channel. Jack Namer's fine organization. Amy with some wild and good ideas. So I'm looking forward to a lot of progress with the show here in 2022. We said it was going to be our year. We'll continue our Degenerate Friday proceedings with the Gambling Gourmet Mike Mayo. That's coming up in just a few minutes and probably exit about 9 o'clock today. What do you think, Lubie? That sound kosher to you? Okay. So we'll bring on the Gambling Gourmet next year on a Deal Volkswagen Degenerate Friday, brought to you by the people at Gulfstream Park. Holy Bowl is Saturday. Going to be a lot of fun. Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill. Wow. See, now there's the thing to do. If you're a football fanatic, it's great to be down there, and it would also be great to, have a little weekend down in the Keys there in the week between the conference championship games and the Super Bowl. Just chill out, forget about everything, try to figure out where your wagers are going to go. Are you going to take the money line in Cincinnati? Well, what do you think? Jersey Kyle, does he come back on the money line with Cincinnati after they scored for him? Look to be hopelessly out of it, right? I mean, the people that had Cincinnati in the first half of that game against the Chiefs, when it looked like, especially when the Chiefs were knocking on the door there, it looked like they were going to score a touchdown, be up 28-10. Lubie, how about that?
It's been over. It should have been over. Yep.
All the momentum of Cincinnati, which, by the way, this is kind of an interesting aside. My son took a new job.
Okay.
And he's a CPA, so he's working for a different firm. I mean, and what's great about getting a new job, we were talking about this, is you don't have to move.
Yeah, exactly.
Nothing. There's no new office. Hey, this is your desk here. I hope you like the view.
Yep.
None of that, man. You're still in your underwear and a T-shirt and working from home, which is great. But one of the people whose account he is handling is John Malkovich.
Oh, that's
the
real?
actor, John Malkovich, yeah. That's one of his accounts. So anyway, he was going to, call him, just to introduce himself and just come on the phone and go, pay that man his money. And pretend it was from the IRS, right? You think Malkovich, was he proud of being in Rounders, you think, or did you think that he just took the role because he needed the cash? What do you think? I mean, this is like an accomplished, theatrical giant. And, he's playing this like Russian mobster in the movie Rounders, which I think is one of the classic all time. See, you haven't seen enough gambling movies. There aren't really that many even worth talking about. But Rounders, the original. Your guy, who came back and made Wahlberg the remake, that was horrendous
Now that's
by comparison to the original. I mean, it was a total destruction. It would be like butchering Citizen Kane, my friend. Which, by the way, I thought was a lousy movie. What do you think?
it's boring as fuck. I don't understand why it's cinematic.
Why is that the standard bearer? I mean, they have when Lipton was doing that inside the actor's studio, and it wouldn't matter who he had on. It could be Coppola sitting there, right? Guy that directed Apocalypse Now. Scorsese, any of the greats, and they would go, what was the foundation of your movie making career? And they would go, Citizen Kane. Like what?
Who cares? That was a horrible movie.
Horrible.
So boring.
I'd rather watch Swamp Thing and hold that up as an example of what the classic should be all about.
Exactly.
Remember Adrian Barbon? Wow. I mean, I hate to get into that. I stood behind her in line once at a bank in California. And to answer everybody's question, they were very real.
There you go.
Yeah, because that's when you're trying to bump into somebody. Just, is that a checking account deposit slip there? Oh, you're Adrian Barbeau. Nice to meet you. All right, coming back with the Gambling Gourmet in a moment. Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill, though. Great place to go, and we got a little sidetracked there, but I want to make sure you know it's at mile marker 104 in Key Largo. Dominic Conchemi, tremendous job. Larry Calvano, the owner. Could he be any more of a good-spirited guy?
He's great.
Perfect for the ownership. And, of course, Jimmy's on the scene quite a bit because he loves it there, too. I mean, absolutely loves it. The food is great. Atmosphere is great. Scenery is great. Sports bar been remodeled, and the service is top-notch. You're really going to love it. I mean, a very, very tremendous way to relax in the Keys. Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill. With accommodations, too. Check that out at jimmyjohnsonsbigchill.com. Jeff DeForrest, Mike Lubitz, the Gambling Gourmet, up next here on Ion Channel. And we'll be back with that on this Degenerate Friday in a moment. Now that.
The time!
It's 8:22.
Hey folks, Tony Segreto here. You know, since day one, Catholic Health Services has been part of Old School. And since we've started letting people know about them, it's changed their lives. You see, Catholic Health Services, while being recognized as one of the top places for stroke rehab in the country, it's also about a group of people who not just excel in what they do, from the doctors to the nurses to the therapist, on and on and on. It's how they do what they do every single day that separates them from the pack. They do it with a passion, unmatched, and the inclusion of family in every step of the process. Trust me when I tell you this. If you want the best, unmatched rehab with a special group of skilled, caring people, there is truly only one place, and that one place is Catholic Health Services.
The championship meet is right around the corner at Gulfstream Park. The only place for live racing, Gulfstream's action has never been hotter. Whether it's on the track, in the casino, or part of the dining and entertainment offered at the Village of Gulfstream Park. Currently running Thursday through Sunday, Gulfstream's racing package is the best in the country, with all the top horses and people in the game pointing towards another tremendous winter season. Check out the remodeled first floor casino, open 7 days and nights a week, along with the many special events and concerts happening at Gulfstream Park. You can place your wagers from anywhere at firstbet.com. Check the calendar of events at gulfstreampark.com.
From the newly renovated sports bar to the beautiful bayside views captured at the Tiki Bar, Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill has it all. Located at mile marker 104, the Big Chill also offers waterfront dining while experiencing breathtaking sunset views of the Florida Keys. It's simply the hottest spot in the Keys to cool off. That's Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill at mile marker 104 in Key Largo. For more information, call today at 305-453-9066.
Hire Lisa Taus and take it to the house at Deal Volkswagen. Anna and her team make your next VW purchase or lease so easy with new inventory rolling in daily and the biggest selection of certified pre-owned vehicles in the business. You can make your deal online at dealvolkswagen.com or visit the beautiful showroom in the classic location, 3601 Bird Road, right in the heart of the Gables. Or give Anna and the team at Deal a call at 305-448-DEEL. Jettas, Passats, Tiguans, Atlas models, and the hottest vehicle in the industry, the new Taos, all at unbeatable prices and all ready to roll off the showroom floor at the #1 Volkswagen dealership around, Deal Volkswagen. Mike Mayo, the Gambling Gourmet, with us, and we're going to ride it out the door until 10 o'clock today with Mike Mayo, the Gambling Gourmet here. These Saints, and I think, I don't know, is it a 10-point edge, New Orleans over Chicago? A 10-point edge in food.
Hard to give, but it is, Chicago has so much great food. New Orleans, if it was rated, if the line was based on food, it would be New Orleans by about 3.5.
You need a cardiologist, though, to be on call, and also if you have the gout, forget about it. You're done.
The New Orleans is like the food equivalent of Vegas. Like after 5 days, you're done. You got to get out of there, otherwise you're going to be.
You have enough sodium in your system to explode.
Yes.
Vegas for the gambling action, your head just starts spinning.
Grab a bagel and a schmear, plus some Defo and Lubie. Welcome back to the Defo Show.
Welcome back to the show here on Ion Channel. Jeff Deforrest, Mike Lubitz, the Defo Show, and it's a Degenerate Friday. We always feature the man who started his brilliant journalistic career in the sports department of various newspapers. I guess it was only a couple, right? Interning at the Boston Globe, then that Spartanburg Gazette.
Spartanburg Herald Journal. That's number 2.
And then the Sun Sentinel.
Sun Sentinel, number 3. And good morning, Defo.
Mike
good morning,
Mayo with
Lubie.
us here on the show, the Gambling Gourmet.
I'm very happy to. I gotta see if my mic is working. If I don't,
it's fine. Yeah, no, you're okay.
All right.
Yeah. You don't look so good. No, but I mean, you sound great. No, you're fine.
I'm a little rough today, but I'm happy to say that the Let's Eat South Florida Facebook group is now at like 73,000 plus, and that's bigger than the circulation of the Spartanburg Herald Journal, which at the time I was there in 1988 was the New York Times.
Yeah.
No, I think at then the Sunday circulation was about 58 or maybe 62,000.
That's big. You started at
about
the top.
100,000, and it might even be bigger than the circulation of the Sun Sentinel these days. I don't know.
Well, the Sun Sentinel is getting very desperate, Mike Mayo, since you left. Although you're still partnering up with these guys, but that offer of $1 online for like 10 years worth of online subscription to the Sun Sentinel, and it's $1 for the whole 10 years. Seems to be marginalizing. Obviously, there's not a lot of subscription money going to the talent there, i.e., the writers, editors, and the people that are responsible for putting the paper together.
They pay money for people to go away now, so that's right. Hey, all right. So I heard the professor and you dissing Skyline. Beware the chili, and here we go, Defo.
Oh, you've got some frozen Skyline chili. That couldn't be any more disgusting. Would you take that down, please? Jack, black them out.
It's not frozen anymore. Defo, Lubie, what you're about to see might shock and horrify.
No, you're going to eat it on the air?
You're drinking it.
That's disgusting. You're drinking Skyline chili?
I don't mind it. I'm the one person that defends it. I walk out there going, oh, that's not horrible. But if you can drink chili, doesn't that say something?
Yeah.
Not only that, Defo, look where I got here.
What are you doing?
What, cat urine? Is that going to be your next thing? Oh, you have some over spaghetti.
No.
Oh, that is so disgusting, Mike.
I
mean, this is the ugliest segment you've ever done, visually, audio-wise.
And Lubie goes.
Do you have a McRib that you're going to eat next?
Sandwich? Lubie only gets the conies. No, my friend. You have to get the pasta with
All right,
the
here's
chili
Mike Mayo. I mean, for those that are not enjoying this visual,
these are renowned food
he is slobbering down spaghetti from Skyline Chili that he bought frozen in the grocery store.
Oh my God! What is wrong?
And this is to tout the fact that he likes Cincinnati in the Super Bowl. You were disparaged to the point where your reputation was up in smoke. With the professor, who's also a very fine food connoisseur and owns a piece of a great restaurant, the Foundry in Pompano Beach. So he knows what he's talking about. Excellent around a barbecue. People used to always want to go to his parties when he was cooking. The best. And sure enough, he said that this is absolute garbage, my friend.
Well, yes, well.
Beware the chili. It has magical powers.
I hope.
If you keep riding the
do you have to
chili
zip
out,
off to the bathroom now? I mean, it's already been 5 seconds. It's like getting some beat cocaine. What do you
I don't want to be some flim flam artist or snake oil salesman. But if you eat Skyline chili, it has curative powers. I don't think you'll get COVID. I don't think you'll you'll be immune to all the viruses, the norovirus and all that, because it coats your stomach in a protective shell. That
is it made by Pfizer? I mean, did they buy Skyline chili? Because you would have to think that was in order. All right, Mike Mayo, you had some very strong opinions, although, I mean, it was the most convoluted logic I had ever. If you ran this by Lubie, actually, if Lubie came up with this, I wouldn't have been surprised. But you,
thank you,
with your Tufts education but with your experience in journalism, and you are a crusader like Brian Flores for truth, justice, and the American way. I mean, you want to be. It's your old newspaper instincts. As if you were Lou Grant saying, "Hey, let's be fair about this." But you had some bizarre scenario. Oh, yeah, this is disgusting. You're really drinking that crap.
Is chili supposed to have gristle?
It's supposed to have meat and taste. It's almost impossible. They are the COVID-19 of chili makers because it's tasteless.
And I really don't mind.
This has flavor. There's a lot of sodium. There's a lot of. All right, let's get into the Flores thing. Enough of this chili nonsense. But
what was this baloney where you had him ended up in Houston dropping a lawsuit and living happily forever after?
No, what I said is if I were Roger Goodell, these are the things I would do to try to stem the inevitable fallout and stench and PR nightmare that.
By the way, did you see Goodell's most recent statement?
I did not.
Not you again, Dan. I need this like a hole in the head. I got enough problems with this Brian guy.
So you mocked me
yesterday.
All right, so I had a 3-point plan that if I was Roger Goodell, this is what I would do. Not that it's what he's going to do, because what he's going to do is like nothing, and it'll end up just being washed away. And everybody loves the NFL, and it doesn't matter what they do; they're impervious to any kind of repercussions, kind of like a foreign president that we all know. But the bottom line is, I would say, first of all, they should reform the draft system so that you don't reward outright losing and take away the incentive for tanking. And the easiest way to do it is go to some sort of weighted draft system like the NBA had, where every non-playoff team gets a certain number of ping pong balls. So you have 18 teams that'll be in the hopper for the top 18 picks, and the worse you are, the more likely you are to get the number one pick, but you're not assured of it. So there's no reason for owners, let's say, to dangle $100,000 incentives for a coach to lose each game and to potentially reward them for tanking. Which if it was a player or a referee doing that, they would be hauled off to jail and brought up on charges, and the FBI and all these things. So that's number one, take away the incentive to outright tank and lose. So reform the draft system. Number two was he needs to launch a full and immediate, impartial, independent investigation of the claims that Brian Flores is making, regarding the tanking and the fixing and the bribery allegations. Now, he came around late and did that, but not before the NFL put out a blanket statement saying the lawsuit had no merit whatsoever, and that probably includes everything in the lawsuit. So they've already compromised their any veneer of having a real investigation. It just looks like a whitewash, pardon the pun, considering we're talking about racial.
There you go. That's your journalistic instincts. Exactly.
But it looks like, from the start, it's going to be a whitewash and it's going to be a preordained conclusion. But, if I were him, I would bring in a white shoes law firm or a William Cohen or something like that to get to the bottom again immediately, like from right now, not waiting for the lawsuit to unfold, but try to investigate and see what happens. And if it turns out there's any merit or evidence of this being true, that Stephen Ross needs to be stripped of the team and banned from the league for life. I mean, if Pete Rose gets banned from baseball for life for what he did with gambling, then you can't have an owner going around throwing, offering bribes to throw games, particularly when the owner and the league are now partners on gambling and fantasy sports sites. I mean, you're compromising the very bedrock foundation of any enterprise, which is, is the thing legit or is it cooked? And, number two, also the fans who bought season tickets in 2019, if I was one of them and shelled out thousands of dollars on season tickets, I would be banding together and considering my own class action lawsuit, because if the owner is trying to lose games from the start and he's charging full freight, well, that's a whole fraudulent endeavor.
Good luck with that with the fans, though. I mean, and the thing, Mike, is that this is not. I mean, you would think Flores had some kind of tangible evidence that he presented to these high-powered lawyers that he's got and said, "Okay, I have it right here."
It's going to be Yeah, it's going to be unfolding. We don't know all the pieces of the puzzle yet. I have a lot of questions. He says he was offered it. They actually did lose their first 7 games, and they lost 11 overall. Did he get the 1.1 million? Did he go to anybody at that time and report it? Not even in the league. I could understand why you wouldn't want to go to your boss's boss necessarily.
It didn't sound like that took place, though, that he actually received payments. The implication was that he was offered this.
No.
Right.
I don't want money at all. So that's probably
well, and then you get into the murky thing of, once it was allegedly claimed, and even if somebody saw or heard the offer, Ross could just shrug it off and say, "Oh, I was just kidding. I was joking. It wasn't for real. No money actually took place. This was a fantasy." Just like when you offered me $100 to eat a McRib.
Well, you did do it,
and I actually ate it. And you didn't.
I
pay
picked
me,
up a
and
tab
you were
at
like,
even
"Oh, I
keel,
was just
though.
joking about that."
Remember that? I picked up that tab at even keel.
Yeah,
Reluctantly, but I did. You made the faint move to your pocket there, like you were in Las Vegas at an expensive dinner. And, you were waiting for somebody to say, "No, I'm way up. I'll pick it up. Don't worry about it. I had a good day betting
You
horses."
got to remember now, Defo, I'm in radio, so I've got those very smooth crocodile arm moves.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, you're used to everything being comped. I mean, when they bring you a check at some restaurant that you're eating at, you're like in.
When I was with the
you're in bigger
newspaper,
shock than Goodell was yesterday with the Snyder thing.
I never took comps when I was a newspaper critic. We had strict ethics, and I paid for everything on the newspaper's credit card,
Yes.
which was
Also,
also
that's just as good. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't care if it's on the house or if it's on the boss. One way or another, it's not on me.
So
which makes it journalism. That's what
That's
makes
right.
journalism great.
It's not catered. It ain't journalism. And
That's
again,
the truth.
thanks to the fine folks at Lime Fresh Mexican Grill for that fabulous lunch spread the other day. Okay.
Listen to you, man. I mean, you're scarfing down this disgusting swill that you're eating on the air here.
Legitimate,
full
great.
view of everybody. And absolutely in piggish style, because that would be the only way to eat this, and it might be the only kind. You of the sensitive and discriminating palate, you who's talking about, well, you know what, they dusted the chicken franchise off with some truffles. I mean, and you're eating this garbage, man. And now what is actually in the glass there? I mean, it looks like your Bloody Mary that you were complaining about for 6 months from Houston said you didn't get.
I might use this as my next Bloody Mary mixer. This is actually the Skyline chili that once you heat it up in a microwave after buying.
Oh, it thins out into like a watery substance. That tells you in and of itself. I mean, what is the first word you hear associated with chili? Thick, my friend, as a brick.
It's really a mysterious substance because, like you said, it liquefies now. And again, I've said all along, it's not really chili. It's Greek meat spaghetti sauce. And you pour it over the pasta, and what you have is basically.
You were right about the first part. You didn't have to qualify it. It's not really chili. That's all you had to say.
But if you throw this in the fridge, it congeals and it turns into the solid mass. So it's very mysterious. And I think, I detect essence of there's cumin, a little bit of cinnamon.
You don't have to analyze it for us.
And some essence of Superfund in there also. It's,
so this garbage dump of a restaurant, Skyline Chili, is the reason you like Cincinnati. But I mean, what's the first restaurant, Gambling Gourmet, that pops into your head? Like you just landed in L.A., and the guy that picks you up says, you're going to interview for a job at the L.A. Times now. You're going to replace Elmer Dills out there as the food critic. Substantial increase in pay from whatever you even imagine making. Staying there in South Florida. So you have to take the job. You land in L.A., and the driver says, the boss man, whoever runs the L.A. Times, wants you to go anywhere on his dime. Where are you heading what direction are you heading the car in for a restaurant in L.A.? With a mouthful of this disgusting, absolute.
Something's wrong with you.
It's delicious. Yeah. It's a great breakfast. First stop I'm going is the In-N-Out. I'm going to tell the guy.
In-N-Out Burger. Okay, well, that makes sense, though.
Yeah, In-N-Out.
We're making 3 stops. We're going to stop at In-N-Out. We'll go there. Then we're going to go to the original Matsuhisa, which is what Nobu Matsuhisa is, the chef who now has a global empire of high-end sushi and Japanese restaurants.
You're a big sushi guy. Pizza and sushi are your thing.
Love the Asian food. It's very light and healthy, just like Skyline Chili.
Yeah, definitely.
You have any number of disgusting things now on video. I mean, you're going to become very popular for being one of those a food critic who only deals in absolute, trash when it comes to food.
Oh well.
All right,
no,
so
I
you
mean,
got In-N-Out Burger. You got this sushi joint. Where else you going? Spago's?
no, the third place, Spago is great. And I love some of those, Beverly Hills places, the Palm I always enjoy. But the third place I'm going, noted chef Nancy Silverton, and she has a place called Osteria Mozza. And
what is it, a
that's
matzo factory?
no, it's a pasta. It's a
Oh,
Italian
okay.
pasta, but with like a California, healthy or fresh ingredient twist. I think she's a disciple of Alice Waters and Shea Panisse up in Berkeley. But yeah, so I would do In-N-Out, Matsuhisa, which is the original Nobu, and Nancy Silverton's Osteria Mozza. Those are the three places I'm going in LA. So.
All right, and then with your handicapping system that you've been using, where the food of the city, are you really going to put Skyline Chili up against any of those? They lose to In-N-Out Burger right away. I mean, in terms of the restaurant scene. So, would you then go ahead and subsequently lay the 4 and a hook with the Los Angeles Rams based on the food scene?
Okay. By any objective measure, the food scene in LA blows away Cincinnati. And, under my system, on the food scale, LA is a 17-point favorite. They just trounce the Cincinnati food scene. However, beware the chili. I've gone against Cincinnati both steps of the way because I say, all right, I like Skyline Chili, but the rest of the scene there in Cincinnati is garbage. But Nashville, better food scene, they're out the door. That team last week, who was that? Kansas City, they're out the door. And I'm riding this chili all the way down the gullet into the.
You'll be riding it into the bathroom, man, in about 3 seconds here. I mean, if you
literally said you should just eat it, and he's from Ohio.
Yeah.
You should just eat it on the toilet because that's really what it does to you.
O.J. McDuffie, I thought it was garbage.
From Ohio.
I've never had that effect because I have a cast iron stomach. So and also let me tap the makers of Imodium, a wonder drug for people who are in the food critic industry.
Oh yeah, I guess that would have to any supplement that can help you have a better bowel movement, especially after this maneuver, Mayo. All right, we have to run. And now you've been touting the place, and I'm fascinated.
You're going already? That's it? You're cutting me off?
Well, we're coming back with another segment, but people are screaming, saying, "What the hell is this, man?" I mean, this guy's out of his mind here with his food demonstration. But now I wanted you to tell the people about a place, and I would imagine eventually they'll expand all over the country. But Primo Liquors, because I like the concept that you can try a variety of wines. I'm going to go down there, and you've been telling me to open my mind in this category. But I like the way they operate, and they have all kinds of good stuff there at Primo Liquors.
Yes, when you want to wash away the flavor of Skyline Chili, the best place to go is Primo Liquors and Fine
Or be
Wine.
drunk enough to eat it in the first place.
No, you know what? When you have some of those fine, the bourbons and the whiskeys and the Kentucky stuff, you don't want to delve into the trough of Skyline. You're going to want to have like fine cheeses and other steaks like from a cut above. But Primo Liquors, they've got the best selection, lowest prices, most helpful staff. We've got to get you to the one across from the Galleria Mall now. That's the
where I'm
newest
headed
one
this weekend
to open. It's right across there on 2541 East Sunrise Boulevard. 5 locations throughout Broward. The brothers, Sam and Koshal, we love them. They do such a great job. They also have cigars besides the essentials like wine and bubbly champagne coming up for Valentine's Day. So you want to get into Primo Liquors, go to primoliquors.com to check out all their selection. And better yet, go into the shops because they're always having tastings and events, and they're really friendly. And no matter what you're looking for, Defo, whether you want the Chardonnay from Kistler or the is that Kistler or Kessler? How do you?
Kistler.
K-I-S. Yeah, I had it right. I know what I'm talking about.
That is a great Chardonnay. I mean, it's about $60 a pop in the stores and worth every penny. If you're going to splurge a little bit on a bottle of wine.
Or the Chardonnay from Jordan, and you won't get a cork turned bottle at.
I usually like it, at $85 a bottle. I'm sending that one back, like I did at Del Frisco's there in Las Vegas.
Had an unfortunate turned bottle of wine experience, but at Primo's, if you ever get a bad bottle, just bring it back. They'll be happy to replace it with something that's in better condition. Primo Liquors, we love them, and tell them that the Gambling Gourmet, the Lunchbox, Defo, Lubie, and Mayo sent you.
All right, we're coming back with more. We'll wrap things up on this Degenerate Friday with Mike Mayo and maybe
Feeling
some
a little
opinions.
woozy now.
Let me sick to your stomach.
You won't be back.
Don't throw up on airplane.
There are many people hoping that's the case. I can assure you, Mike Mayo. We're not among them, but the consensus is getting very strong in the opposite direction. All right, we're coming back. A little more Gambling Gourmet on this Degenerate Friday. Time flying by here and getting set for a big weekend. A lot of action. I wanted to get into maybe this horse race with you a little bit, Michael, because
Nice.
I know you're a big fan, and I always like it. It's kind of like the first game of spring training when you see a stakes race. I guess it counts for real. Obviously, the Holy Bull, one of the first where you can accumulate points to go to the Kentucky Derby. It does seem to be wide open to go to the Kentucky Derby. And for some reason, that horse that Baffert trained in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile, Corniche, doesn't seem to be, much talked about. It's not involved in his field in the Holy Bull, but it's a first race for 3-year-olds. It's kind of like unveiling a whole new season. And it's going to be a lot of fun at Gulfstream Park. So we'll get Mike's opinion on that and some other things as well. And maybe even go into these tough beats because, Jersey Kyle took one on the chin just following a game on his phone. And we've actually, this shows you how many times that you've been absolutely taken down by the perils of gambling, that you would be able to unfold the drama of the way that you got smacked and figure out exactly what the situation was, even though you didn't see the game. All right. And an absurd situation, a series of events that normally doesn't happen. All right. Back with more with Mike Mayo here on the Defo Show in a moment. Now that.
The time.
It's 8:46.
It's the Gambling Gourmet for Cafe Seville in Fort Lauderdale. It's one of my favorite places. It is old school joint that's serving Spanish and classic continental cuisine in a cozy, friendly setting. It's at 2768 East Oakland Park Boulevard. They're open every day except Sunday for dinner, starting at 5 p.m. You go in there, you see Joey and his better half, Sally. They are given the greatest in service. And the food, oh my gosh, it's paella, shrimp with garlic sauce, stuffed veal chop. They serve this great, fantastic, warm sourdough bread. Go to Cafe Seville in Fort Lauderdale and tell them that the Gambling Gourmet sent you.
Hey, folks, Tony Segreto here. Let me ask you a question. What do you look for when you go out to eat? Good food, obviously, friendly atmosphere, not too loud, but good energy, reasonable prices, and a place where you feel comfortable. All those ingredients, no pun meant there, are hard to find unless you're talking about the Texas Roadhouse. You see, they encompass all of those attributes. Really, really good food, amazing atmosphere, good for a family, good for a date, or just a night out for yourself, and prices that will make you extremely happy. Their ribs unmatched, steaks hand-cut every day. Everything, and I mean everything, is made on site, including their incredible bread. It's the one day, folks, that you can forget about low-carb diets. Trust me when I tell you, Texas Roadhouse, your restaurant, your destination when you say, where should we go and eat tonight?
Buy or lease a Taos and take it to the house at Deal Volkswagen. Anna and her team make your next VW purchase or lease so easy with new inventory rolling in daily and the biggest selection of certified pre-owned vehicles in the business. You can make your deal online at dealvolkswagen.com or visit the beautiful showroom in the classic location, 3601 Bird Road, right in the heart of the Gables. Or give Anna and the team at Deal a call at 305-448-DEEL. Jettas, Passats, Tiguans, Atlas models, and the hottest vehicle in the industry, the new Taos, all at unbeatable prices and all ready to roll off the showroom floor at the #1 Volkswagen dealership around, Deal Volkswagen.
Hey, folks, Tony Segreto here. You know, since day one, Catholic Health Services has been part of Old School. And since we've started letting people know about them, it's changed their lives. You see, Catholic Health Services, while being recognized as one of the top places for stroke rehab in the country, it's also about a group of people who not just excel in what they do, from the doctors to the nurses to the therapists, on and on and on. It's how they do what they do every single day that separates them from the pack. They do it with a passion, unmatched, and the inclusion of family in every step of the process. Trust me when I tell you this. If you want the best, unmatched rehab with a special group of skilled, caring people, there is truly only one place, and that one place is Catholic Health Services.
These days, we're all looking for comfort anywhere we can find it. Thank goodness for Landlubbers Raw Bar and Grill in the Plantation location, because they are making sure you are as comfortable as possible. First of all, they're not only open for delivery and pickup. All you have to do is go to landlubbersbarandgrill.com for both pickup and free delivery. Their hours have changed a little bit. Monday through Thursday from 3:30 to 10, and Friday, Saturday, and Sunday from 11:30 to 10. You're going to have the best wings in the world. You're going to have a great burger. You're going to have their amazing soups. Again, Landlubbers Raw Bar and Grill. It's nice and easy. Just go to landlubbersbarandgrill.com for both your pickup and free delivery. Thank goodness for Landlubbers for making you always feel right at home.
Mike Mayo, the Gambling Gourmet. And a lot of people like to bet soccer. You are looking at the Euro.
I'm a soccer fan. I spent part of my junior year abroad at the London School of Economics and Political Science. How I ended up...
It's a little sophisticated for people that are on our show.
To be on
London School of Economics.
My career has taken strange...
Yes,
and mainly downward turns, but it's okay. I'm very.
You can live with it. Just be who you are. That's
I am living my best life,
burying yourself with this show,
betting my worst bets.
Buenos dias. The cafecito is piping hot. Why not enjoy it with Defo and Lubie? It's now time for the Defo.
Welcome back to the show. Jeff Deforrest, Mike Lubitz with you on Ion Channel, wrapping up this Friday edition of Degenerate Friday, and always a pleasure to be with you here on Ion Channel. Google the show, The Defo Show. Mike Mayo, the Gambling Gourmet, with us, and we mostly watched and discussed as he as if he was Charles Bronson on Death Wish. Went ahead and demonstrated just how disgusting Skyline Chili is, proving our point and refuting his in its entirety. It's almost like the categorical denials that are being issued by all of the people who had a finger of Brian Flores pointed at them in this lawsuit. Did you notice that, Mike Mayo? What did you make of all of that? Where
first of all, why is the room?
He says he's full of crap. Everybody.
Why is the room spinning now? And,
Timothy Leary wouldn't even try that stuff. It's true.
So, hey, to get back, just to wrap up the whole thing, because I never got into the most ridiculous point I made the other day.
Oh, and that was a convoluted theory.
Which seems as ridiculous as the professors. It's, that Flores was always a Bill Belichick plant to just ruin the Dolphins
that seems
organization.
To have some merit.
And now it really is taking shape. I mean, so those who you mock at the beginning, which sounds like crazy conspiracy theories, sometimes it turns out maybe. So no, what I was saying is that everybody's saying that Flores is never going to get another job again. And, he's committed career suicide. And I just think that, maybe the way out for everybody is give this guy a really lucrative job, have Goodell broker some sort of deal that he gets $20 million and drops the lawsuit and gets a job. And, and then this way Flores could say, well, I raised the issues, I have a job, and I'm going to continue to fight for justice and racial equality going forward. And we'll see. I think it's entirely within the realm of possibility that he does end up with another NFL job in the next 3 years, and I'm willing to take book on that, or drink the rest of this Skyline Chili.
3 years.
Well, you're already on the hook for the Skyline Chili based on what was the wager? I forgot which the proposition bet was. Where I am going to have to buy you lunch at Skyline Chili and eat some myself.
Yes.
Which, Now, what was that based on, Michael? Because I didn't keep track of this thing.
I'm saying it's just the spread. If the Bengals cover, you got to go. If the
Bengals cover, yeah, all right.
It's just a bet on the point spread line.
All right, that's fair.
On the
that's
Super Bowl.
More than fair. All right.
And if the Rams cover, I guess I don't know what's an LA type place out here. I mean, it's like
we have to go someplace that features a lot of sourdough bread and sprouts. Alfalfa sprouts.
Do those still exist? I'd rather eat Skyline Chili than
the weird thing about alfalfa sprouts, when you buy them in a store, is it actually says on the package that they're still alive, which scares me.
So is Skyline Chili.
How is that? Yeah, no, Skyline Chili is instant death. All right. Well, what do you think about this? I mean, the common wisdom, Mr. Sports Writer, putting you back into your past there, history as a sports writer, and obviously you're still very much in touch with this stuff. But the common wisdom is that the offensive line of the Cincinnati Bengals is so bad. It makes the Miami Dolphins offensive line look like the 7 blocks of granite. It's so bad that were they offensive or defensive line? 7 blocks. I think they had to be offensive, right? By the very nature of being a block. Anyway. That Aaron Donald and Von Miller and this intense pass rush that the Rams are capable of generating will be just too overwhelming and Joe Burrow, goes back and wishes that he had never lined up with these guys, and that they get annihilated. Right? What do you think?
Well, weren't they supposed to get obliterated by the Chiefs too?
They were getting obliterated by the Chiefs until I think Andy Reid got orders from the top there. Is it the Hunts? Do they still own the team? The Hunt family?
No, I think Stephen Ross just bought the team at halftime and then offered
said, "Hey, listen, you guys better lose this game,
$100,000 because it would improve his draft position by 1 spot next year." So I'm not going to handicap and analyze this game like some expert. I'm just going to say beware the chili. They have the look of a Cinderella story. They've never won a Super Bowl before. As a sports writer, former sports writer, you always rooted for the best story. The best story is Dalton leading this team from worst to first in 2 years and leading a team to a first ever championship. So I'll take the 3 and a hook. I'll take the Skyline chili bet.
Yeah,
Joe Burrow. Dalton, I don't think if Dalton's there, then I'm going all in on the Rams. If Dalton's the quarterback.
Oh, Dalton, forget about it.
I think it's Joe Burrow, and that gives the Bengals a chance in my estimation.
Isn't Dalton with like the Bears or something?
Yeah. Did I say Dalton? Oh no.
Well, I mean, it's common to think
Where did that
redheaded
come from? I don't even know quarterbacks anymore.
Yeah.
Burrow. Did I say
there you
Dalton?
go. So you're a perfect expert to have on a show to handicap the game. You have no idea.
Just go with the Cinderella story.
Yeah.
Throw out everything. That's it. Let's talk about the Holy Bull. Something I
all right, good. Yeah, I wanted to get to that also. Well, what do you think? I mean,
I think it's a great card.
Are we seeing a Kentucky Derby horse emerge from the Holy Bull Stakes, in your opinion?
Well, we're seeing Kentucky Derby runners in the race tomorrow. I don't know if we're going to see any Kentucky Derby winners, but I mean, Mo Donegal is the Pletcher horse. I guess is that for the Repo stables. But I'm just going to go. It's wide open. In these 3-year-old races, I like horses that are longer prices because these 3-year-olds mature and change rapidly. And even just the span of 4 or 6 weeks, you could have a horse that threw a clunker all of a sudden wakes up, grows. So I like to pay a lot of attention. I'm actually going to be going out there tomorrow. I think
Christine Lees again.
Maybe Christine Lees, but I like looking in the paddock, and I like actually physically looking at the horses and see what their weight and how they're. Some these 3-year-olds, you could tell a lot by appearance, and our friend Kate and Bradar is the best at that. So I will be.
She's also a horse whisperer. If you didn't know.
Yeah,
she literally is, man, horse whisperer.
So I'll be looking for the verbal cues as to which horses look like they're developing well, look healthy and lively. And so I'm going to reserve a final judgment, but I'm looking at Tiz the Bomb, which is the Kenny McPeak horse. And we'll see. We'll just see. Bill Mott has a horse, 15-1. Mott, all of a sudden, he cares about the Triple Crown races. He used to be just known as a trainer who was very patient with horses and just mainly won with older horses on the turf. But now, as he gets later in life, he wants to accumulate, some of these Triple Crown victories, including the Derby. And so Galt is in there, and I'll probably give him a look also. So, it's a good race, wide open race, and a really good card. I guess 5 stakes races on the card tomorrow at Gulfstream Park. You'll find me there, probably at the bar, drinking heavily at Christine Lee's.
All right, well, you may not be able to make it there. You may be going to an emergency room right after the show here. I mean, once that hits, Mayo, you can have that iron cast stomach. We always said that about Bobby Bowden. That was the key to his ability to recruit all of these kids from Apopka, is that he had an iron cast stomach. As he would say, "Mama, I'll have another slice of that meatloaf, please."
That's delicious. That is absolutely the most fantastic
stuff that was so foreign to his system, and yet he could smile right through it and say, "I'll make sure I take good care of little Johnny Jones." You're like,
Bobby,
all right, Bobby, you're my man.
He used to swig.
They would deliberately feed him stuff they knew could kill him. Some of these people, when he was recruiting, to just test the guy.
He loved the boiled peanuts when you swig it down with orange soda, like like
a Fanta soda.
Crush, Fanta, yeah. That was his snack of choice, is the boiled peanuts with orange soda.
You're adventurous. One final thing. Did you ever eat the shish kebab outside of what now would be the American Airlines Arena? I guess it's FTX Arena, but back in the old day, especially of the Miami Arena, when they first built that thing, Lucia Fell said we needed an intimate stadium, and then not even half a season later, he's going, "Hey, this place is a dump. We need more seats." You covered that aspect on the city desk there for a while.
No, back when I was a sports writer, they used to feed us for free before the games, and then
that was great.
We'd get done writing so late that all the shish kebab guys were already gone after the game, so I would usually have to go up to La Tub.
They didn't always sell out, was my problem with it. And so you're wondering if there wasn't a game. This was the NBA, and so if there wasn't a game for like another 3 days, did they bring that same stuff back?
Oh yeah.
No.
How would you know?
Indestructible. It's recyclable and indestructible. No, my two favorite ballpark things. It was like Fenway Park. Those sausage with pepper hoagies that they had out front of Fenway was great.
That's a big part of the atmosphere there.
And the finishing up the day of racing either at the Big A Aqueduct or Belmont Park with a hot pretzel from the pretzel guy as you walk out.
Right. Did you ever have a burger from the Onion Man there at Aqueduct? You're probably
you kept telling
a little
me
too
about
young
him.
for that. Yeah,
I never had the burger.
That's all he ever said. Onions. Onions.
Onion
Which
man.
he was asking you if you wanted onions on the burger, man. The burgers were dynamite, man, right off the grill. All right, Michael, always a pleasure. We'll catch you lunchtime Odyssey app around the country and around the world, so you can catch Mike Mayo's lunch block.
Where am I today? I can't even
Cut
remember.
above.
Andy
Cut
Dalton.
above, Butcher Shop.
With Andy Dalton.
Yeah.
No, cut above Butcher Shop in Fort Lauderdale. If I'm still alive, I'll see you out there.
I don't think you'll be dining on those fine steaks there. And Lubie's going to try and come out there and poach one. I'm a late scratch on that one. But anyway, thanks for being with us. The Gambling Gourmet, Mike Mayo. Let's Eat South Florida. That's universal all over the place. So you can log into that. And
please stop pushing that. We want people to respect your opinion. They're not going to with you with the skyline nonsense.
No. The fact that he's still standing, though, I mean, it's we were waiting for like Richard Steele to step in front of him. All right, we'll see you guys Monday. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. Continuing, thanks to the Gambling Gourmet, Mike Mayo, a little bit insane today. He loves those, especially now with the visual. He loves those during the show demonstrations of how outrageous. That's the second disgusting thing I've seen him eat on the show.
The McRib to me, and look, and again, I'm the Skyline.
That was grotesque.
I don't hate Skyline chili. I never said it's good. I just don't hate it. Like Ken would rather eat toilet water from a man after he just used the toilet.
Just skip a meal at that point if you're thinking about Skyline chili.
I don't mind Skyline chili. I don't think it's good. I just don't mind.
This guy bought the frozen version and cooked it up at like 9 in the morning on the East Coast. Unbelievable.
For a guy who's a food connoisseur, he'll eat some garbage.
He eats some real trash, that Mayo. I think a lot of his credibility goes out the window there. He could suck down some Skyline chili. Although, you know what? Look, Anthony Bourdain made a great career, before he, unfortunately killed himself. But maybe, I don't know how psychologically damaging some of those dishes that he ate were over the years. You know what they say? It's a war of attrition. It's the accumulation of blows.
Yeah, there you go.
Can have a bad impact on you. So watch out, Mayo. All right, Lubie, fine week. We'll do it again on Monday. Thanks, as always, for all of your participation and help on the show. Thanks to the people at Ion Channel for having us. And I'm Jeff Deforrest saying we'll see you Monday at 7 in the a.m. as we leave you know that.
The time.
It is 9:02.
Let's go to eat a damn snack.
Look what they done to my soul.